Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. What a privilege it is for me to be here with you guys this morning. It's our second SIYABONGA Day. For those of you who have not followed us last week when we were in Beaufort West, please go and have a look on our website. It's www.livestock.org.za. We had a wonderful first SIYABONGA Day in Beaufort West, and just to give some feedback, it started to rain just after we had the SIYABONGA Day, so we said SIYABONGA. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in Grassy Park today. We've got a wonderful lineup of speakers. We're also going to be joined by the Minister of Agriculture in the Western Cape a little bit later. And so a lot of people ask me, what does SIYABONGA stand for? Now, first of all, if you are a Xhosa speaking person, then you would know that it means thank you. So SIYABONGA, with SIYABONGA, we want to say thank you. Thank you to the farmers. Thank you to the people who work in agriculture. Thank you for people who love the land. And that's what SIYABONGA means to us. But also, we can't just say, okay, SIYABONGA is what we're going to call it. We also have acronyms for it. And the S of SIYABONGA means for sharing. And the I means for information. And the Y means for better yields in agriculture. And so we can go on. So it stands for sharing information for better yields in agriculture for the benefit of a next generation agriculturalist. We hope that with the partnership that we have with the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, that we can take this much further, not only this year, but next year as well, and have more of these SIYABONGA Days. Last week, one of the questions was, when are we coming to the Eastern Cape? And, I don't know yet, but I'm sure that we will extend these SIYABONGA Days. This day will be presented in English. Last week, it was presented in Afrikaans, because the community of Beaufort West said to me that we cannot come to Beaufort West and come and speak English, because then they won't understand. We said no, but then we make it Afrikaans. And people can ask questions in English, and they did ask questions in English, and we answered them in English as well. So for all our online viewers, this is in English today. But if you are Afrikaans and you want to ask a question in Afrikaans, please feel free to do so, and we will also answer you in Afrikaans. Before we start, I just want to thank a few people and individuals, but before we do that, I think it's appropriate to say thank you to our Heavenly Father that we are here, that we love our land, that we are farmers, and that we can be here today as a farming community. And then also I want to start with the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, who in partnership with Agri-Expo started this SIYABONGA Days, all about sharing information, basic information, but also giving motivation to people who are out there who maybe lost a little bit of hope, to say, listen, there's some wonderful stories, there's wonderful individuals out there. Come and listen to these SIYABONGA Days and get a new perspective of agriculture. And maybe when you go home, you can change your whole setup, and maybe you can start something new or build your brand a little bit better or whatever. So to Agri-Expo and the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, thank you very much. And then also to our media partner, Food from Zanzi, Dawn Numdo and the team. She's wonderful. And I know Dawn is in bed at this moment, but I want to say thank you, Dawn. Thank you for everything that you and the team has been doing. And then also to Baby, Ronel Lawrence is here today. Ronel, thank you very much to you and your team. The live and online broadcast is something that we discussed, and we said, there's a lot of webinars going on outside there, but we want to do something different. We want people to feel that they can engage with us while we're doing this day. So to all our online viewers, it's all made possible by Baby, and I want to thank the team of Baby. Thank you very much. And then, also we have Standard Bank that's also been involved with us for a couple of years. Also Oasis Water, and then specifically our speakers here today, Mr. Leon Creer, who's from the University of the Free State, Donald Mouton, who is the farm manager at Fairview, who initially came to me and said, Breyton, we need to do something because people don't know the basics of farming. We need to teach them more about the basics. And that was 7 years ago, Donald, and I'm glad that you are back here, and we look forward to listening to you. Then we also have Chris Hartzenberg and his lovely wife here today, and then also one of their teachers that's going to come and speak a little bit about their project. Also, we have Renshia Manuel here. Renshia is currently studying at the Agri Academy in Porterville, and she came through last night. Renshia, thank you very, very much for being here today. We really appreciate the time that you've put aside to join us for this SIYABONGA Day. And then from the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, we have Mr. Jerry Aries, who's going to join us a little bit later. And then we're going to end off the day with Dr. Ivan Meyer, who's the Minister of Agriculture. So I think we're all here to learn something, and without any further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Donald Mouton.
Good morning, SIYABONGA, Breyton. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. And all you farmers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And all you farmers out there sitting in front of your TVs or computers, I hope you're relaxed and comfortable, and that this will be educational today as well. Now the topic, livestock to your needs and your environment, I think the topic is as wide and as interesting as the Cape Flats. What is your goal with your livestock farming? Is it just that you want to feed your family? Have a goat, a cow for a bit of milk, a few chickens for eggs? Or do you want to add to your current income? Or is this going to be your sole income and your business? So, I know a lot of people, I believe you are farmers here. If I chat to a lot of people, they think farming is such a romantic, idyllic lifestyle. You get up in the morning, sit on the stoop and drink a nice cup of coffee, go and take out a few free-range eggs and go milk your cow and goat. But we all know, doesn't matter how small that farming is, it's a business. There is money involved. So, don't know if you're already in the business, if you've got experience, but have you got experience of animal husbandry? I have had a case a few years ago. Two guys drove there into the farm at Fairview, a smart black Mercedes, got out there, all suited up, attorneys from Cape Town. They want to start a milk goat business. I said, guys, where? No, yeah, next to, what's the place name? This Seekoeivlei, yeah, talking about hippos now, so it's not hippoflei, Seekoeivlei. Anyway, so I said, guys, have you got experience of animal husbandry? Now we come from the Transkei, but the guy is going to run it. He grew up in the Transkei and he used to herd animals. They bought animals. It was a month or so later, they contact me, can they please come to their place? There's something wrong. Now there's a huge difference, free-range animals in the Transkei, or wherever you come from, indigenous animals maybe, they know where the water is, they know where the fodder is. Now you come there, palleted crawl, few Port Jacksons, some grass growing near the vlei. The poor animals are thin, underfed, and that's the difference when you go into livestock farming. Do you know what the stock levels be? How many sheep, how many goats, how many cows can you stock per hectare? I mean, for this piece of land, maybe, grass, a few Port Jacksons, how many animals can you keep there? Have you got the resources? I mean, water. I've seen the same thing there, is that people don't realize how much water a cow needs, a goat needs. If a cow is in production or the goat is in production, yielding milk, the milk is, 99% plus water. So it needs water to convert into milk. So, free-range chickens. So, I'm chatting to people now who maybe still want to farm as well. So what resources have you got when you still want to start your animal farming? How big is your property? Or is it a communal place where we all share the same facilities? What is the housing like? What animal are you going to farm with? And Leon and I just chatted about milk goats. A lot of people think, oh, milk goats, it's a goat. Now they've got these nice white Swiss Sarnans. But they a very sophisticated animal. They had the same incident that people come there, they want to look at my records, and they want to buy the best progeny there, the best of the best. But then they go and chase them out there in the veld. They eat a bit of grass and a bit of twigs from the Port Jacksons, and there's no milk production. So get horses for courses. The type of animal that's going to survive under those circumstances. Maybe get the boer goat or get the right sheep, and stay away from fancy crossbreeds. Your market. Have you done research on your market? What are you going to do if you want to add some income? Is there a market? Is it meat? Is it milk? Chickens that you're going to sell? Happen the same thing. People go into the market, into the shops, and they see 100 grams of goat's milk cheese, 30 plus rand, and whew, that's big money. So they buy a few goats, start milking, making cheese, but where's the market? So just go and do that research as well. As I've said, have you got enough grazing? What's the future like? If you run out of grazing, have you got the funds to buy a sustainable source of water? And do you know how much water, food, the type of animal you're going to farm with need? So I don't know if you can tell me, a cow is lactating, how much water she drinks per day on a nice summer's day. It can be anything from a 60, depending on size, to 100 plus liters. So you've got to know that you've got to have a sustainable source of water. When you start your business, you want to go into animal husbandry, I always say go and buy the best you can afford. I put that picture of that goat there. Awful looking udder, but it seems like there can be a lot of milk in there. So that's a good start. And you can get the buck that's also from a high yielding doe. It's got a nice, whose mother's got a nice udder attachment. You buy that. So we look at increasing productivity, increasing quality. Yeah, just a few pictures to show where I've seen people farm with animals. So as I say, when you go and buy, look at the genetics, what you want to buy. Doesn't matter if it's pork, goats, cattle, the best. How are you going to breed? Are you going to share with your friends, pool together, buy a good buck or a bull or a ram? So that's also very important, not just taking something because, yeah, you want calves or lambs, but you want them to be good productive animals. If you're farming for meat, you need a bull and a cow that you know they're going to grow, that they're going to have a good fodder conversion. That what you feed is going to be converted into meat or into milk. So it's not just a case of buying. So do your research. That is very important. Or if you can go in partnership with friends, you can exchange your male animals. And always breed to improve your stock. Look for the best. And one way of improving, in Afrikaans there's a saying, meet om te weet, measure to know. I've asked so many people, guys brag, they've got 100 of this, goats or cows, and I ask them now, what's your average yield? And they mention a figure, and I say, wow, that's extremely low. Why don't you rather select the best, get rid of the rest, buy some good animal? Even if you milk by hand, take your bucket there and see how much liters she gives. Measure the food, because you want to see what the fodder conversion is like. She eats 2.5% of a dry matter from body mass. You feed her X kilos, the return is that. So it's no good that you just feed and you don't get return on your investment. As we said, this is a business. You've got to get a return on your investment. So do that. When that calf is born, weigh him or her. And then on a weekly basis, chase them over the scale and see how they grow and how fast, that you can select for the best, because it's a business. Yeah, so when you go and buy, make sure that bull, that buck is fertile. How do you do that? I know maybe it can cost you money. If it's a cow, whatever, go and ask, see where the progeny is. There can be semen tests done. Maybe cost you money, but rather do that than buy an infertile animal. And as I say, if you go and buy from a commercial breeder, ask for those records. See what the production is like. So that's very important. Good to see the grow boxes here. By seeing it now, I also think a few years ago, Department of Agriculture, Western Cape, and a German company funded some research here near Malmesbury for how to make a living on a small piece of land. I think it was like a hectare size. And they combined pigs and chickens and vegetables. But you've got to have water. So it was strip farming. And so the pigs went in, they tilled the soil. Chickens behind them, they scratch all the manure open. The manure spreaders. And they also pick out all the maggots and try and help to control the flies. And then the farmer goes in, levels the soil, plant his vegetables, and they move to the next camp. And so eventually it worked out when the veggies are harvested, the pigs come back and they dig up the rest of whatever. So that's always something that one can consider. Take your plants and combine them with your animal, because where do you go with the manure? Is it converted into compost? Are you, how's the word now, bemest, fertilizing some land for vegetable farming or growing some fodder for your animals? So one's got to think about that as well. And very, very important when it comes to the hygiene as well, that cleanliness plays a major, major role there. As they say, housing. And I've seen some of these informal places that they're housing, especially winter time. It is so wet that the poor animals stand there in the wet, and then they go out and it's in a kind of wetland, and the animals got food rot. So you've got to know how to treat that or try and keep them out of that. Problems like mastitis can be a big problem if their housing is not good. So you've got to have your housing hygiene. Is it cleaned properly on a regular basis? Come to hygiene. I've seen water troughs. It looks like thick cream soda. That dirty it is. Animals, like human beings, need good, healthy water. Very important. Your feeding regime, as I said, you need to know what they eat. What I also find sometimes is that we refer to winter here in the Western Cape actually as a groen droogte, a green drought. Everything is green, but there's very little nutrition. I mean, if we say a cow eats 2.5 to 3% of that's dry matter of the body mass, can you imagine how much green grass you must eat to get the right amount of nutrients? Because it's actually just a lot of water she is consuming. So we always give in the hay racks there's a bit of straw and a bit of extra energy, maybe make a lick of your molasses and a bit of mealies, because you've got to feed, there's got to be energy as well. So one's got to look in all of this. Then, of course, intestinal parasites. Big, 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 big problem. Especially free range, where the guys don't do camp rotation, because you've got to break that cycle. I mean, maybe you've experienced it. They're in the same camp for a long time, and they just go thinner because there's our intestinal parasites. And there, Leon will tell you later as well, also about the resistance that they can build up against all these dosing active ingredients. So camp rotation, if you can, rotate them. If you can have, say, a 90-day break between camps so you can break that parasite cycle, very, very important. Your general health. Have you got a vaccination program? Especially here in the Western Cape, this time of the year, October, the gnats, the muggies, they start flying around. And they bite the sheep and the ears and all over. And then one of these days, you've got blue tongue. So contact your local vet or Department of Western Cape Department of Veterinary Science and ask them about a vaccination program. Very important. Yeah, and when it comes to pork as well, to pigs, we know there are different breeds. And of course the white ones, they get a bit of sunburn. But very important as well, I've seen a lot of these pigs just roaming around. There's a thing called pig measles, and that's caused by tapeworm. And we know that in the Jewish religion and the Muslim religion, pork is not to be eaten. And that's basically, if you go and do research, comes back to the measles. That tapeworm, that fluke, that if the human gets it in, it attacks the brain. I mean, they can go mad. So that's why traditionally pork is cooked, overcooked to kill that. But very important that there's good hygiene. There's piggies all over the show. They are actually the toilet cleaners. So make sure that when you market them or if you eat them, that you know that you are eating healthy meat. Very, very important. So again, the combination of animals you're going to farm with is very important. Goats, I love goats. Highly intelligent animals, good source of protein, milk and meat. Very fertile, if they the right stock, if you feed them right from birth to kidding, like ours commercial stock, 12 to 13 months. So kid born now, kids next year. So very nice animal to farm with. Do you know what a healthy or sick animal looks like? I mean, if you go there to your herd, how do you know this animal? You can't always go with the thermometer and go and see, is the animal's attitude alert? They all look very alert. There's one, ears are hanging, something is wrong. You've got to be aware of that. Is the animal's appetite normal? Or is it just standing there, the trough? Is it drinking water? Is the dropping of the feces normal? Or is it squirting or something wrong? So those are all things you've got to look at. When you milk your animal, before milking, give that udder a good rub. Have you seen as well, before a calf or a lamb suckles on the mum, what does he do or she do? She gives it a few little bumps there. That's for the mom to start secreting the milk as well. So my guys who milk the goats are taught, they give it a good rub, but then they also feel for lumps. Is there something, is the one half of the other maybe much warmer, the other half or colder? So you can feel there if there is something wrong. And then take your strip cup, strip some milk out onto that surface and see if there's a piece of solid coming out. Then you know there's mastitis. All things that, easy things that one can do to prevent serious illness in your animals. Yeah, as I say, look for abscesses, warts, bare patches, how's she walking, cripple, whatever. But we also find this time of the year, especially here in the Western Cape, sheep, goats, all of a sudden they cripple. Claws, okay, and then you look between the claws, and there sits the little tick. So I don't know here, but there in Paarl, ticks are all over the show at the moment. Spring is here, and it seems like it's tick breeding time. Okay. So as I said, your health program, your vaccination program, contact your local guys, wherever you are in the country, and hear what are the diseases that you've got to vaccinate against. And of course, foot rot, trim the hooves of your animals, because especially in the wet, they don't wear off, and foot rot can be a huge problem. Clip them, cut them right way, but keep them healthy. Let's come back to your feeding regime. Is your animal getting enough energy, dry matter, protein? All very important, that even if they are free range, that you know that you've got a substitute, especially here in winter time when it's just green grass and you know they don't get enough dry matter in, that you put down a bit of straw or what hay you can afford, and maybe a nice lick so they can get in energy. And of course, if you're commercial, not commercial, what is the cost of your fodder, and are you getting a return on that investment? I mean, there are ways and means that one got to make the sums work. And yeah, and if it comes to a stage that you must rather sell one or two animals to save money and buy when it's cheaper, you do it that way. But you don't want your animals to suffer. Intestinal parasites, big problem under all our animals. There's the Famacha that Dr. Fafa Malan and them created, where you can look in the membrane of the eye. You can Google it and see. But as Leon also in chat just now, when the membranes started going white, then you know there's already infestation. It's maybe too late already. So one can have parasite eggs count done by labs, and Leon will tell you more about that. So very, very important. And unfortunately, you go into the co-op and there's a lot of brands standing there on the shelf dosing for intestinal parasites. And sometimes we look at the color. Oh, this red one must be the one. But go and read in the active ingredients. A lot of them is exactly the same active ingredient. So the resistant is built up against the active ingredient. So one must use it the right way and change the active ingredients that the parasites don't build up a resistance against the ingredients of the medicine that you are using. Yes, and then just that's trimming a goat's hoof there. I use pruning shears. You can use a sharp knife, but just keep them nice and clean. Especially your goats, they've got like the hoof grows over. It's like a nail that grows over, and then the soil and the dung starts building up there, and it becomes soft. And when you find you get yourself again, it's got foot rot. So keep it short, keep it clean, and yeah. So guys, I don't know if there are any questions, but that's basically one's got to look at when you a small stock farmer. Thank you very much. Siyabonga. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Excuse.
Okay, Donald, thank you very much. I just have from the online, one of the online viewers, Chililo, just sent in a question to know, as a beginner in farming broilers, now I know you're not farming broilers, but I know that you do have free-range chickens on Fairview. I would like to know, Chililo asked, I would like to know what the steps, which are the best ones before I could even build the coops. What should I do first? How do I ensure the following: management, maintenance, packaging and handling, breeds, all of that? And I think that's a question that can relate to any farming enterprise. Whether you're farming goats, what do you start with? How do you do whatever? And I know, Donald, if you can maybe just answer us a little bit, but I think research is probably one of the biggest things. You must do your research before you do anything. And like Donald said, there's a lot of people that see something and then they would go in and they say, oh, I want to milk goats. But at the end of the day, they don't have a market, or they don't have the right space for it, or whatever. So, Donald, maybe you can just touch on that one.
Yes, Brett, yeah, thank you. Yeah, broilers, we've tried broilers as well. The first thing you have to do your research. Where are you going to buy the chicks, the broiler chicks? So get the source where you can go and buy them. Then make sure that you've got the resources, because they need high protein food, high energy, because they've got to grow very fast, or else you're not going to make any money. And then, of course, the right facilities. We've also found that if you haven't got the right facilities, you've got your four-legged and your two-legged predators that walks away with your animals. And then the other thing is, go and do your research. Where are you going to slaughter them? Are you going to slaughter them yourself? Have you got the facilities to slaughter them yourself, and to do it in a hygienic way? And of course, in the end, you've got to sell them somewhere. And have you got the market? Thank you.
Just another question also from an online viewer, Nomvuyu. Says, I have a farm and we have 7 cattle, including the calves. We are doing broiler chickens and I would like to do boer goats as well. I am 1 year and 11 months on the farm and I'm still just trying to raise money, etc. And then he says, is there any way of assisting with fence for goats and training thereof? So just to answer this, I think that one should look at your local department. I'm not sure in what province he is, but his local Department of Agriculture. But to extend this question, I would like to ask Donald maybe ways that one can maybe like build a kraal, especially for goats, and you don't have, let's say, all the fancy equipment. Is there ways with, basic ways to maybe build a kraal, Donald? Yeah.
I think days gone by, they would cut off your thorn trees and build a kraal with that. Just know that, yeah, good fences makes for good neighbors, especially when it comes to goats, because they have got the ability to climb fences and to find a way over a fence, under a fence, because they're highly intelligent animals. But yeah, if you got anything from wooden maybe pallets or anything that you can use. But yeah, just know that goats are highly intelligent and they find a way.
I think we can give Donald a round of applause. Bye, dankie Donald. Thank you very much, Donald. I'm going to take questions from the floor after we have Leon. So we're going to have the 2 speakers and then we're going to have the questions from the floor. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. So our next speaker is Mr. Leon Kruger, And Leon is a lecturer at the University of the Free State. He's also been involved with this information days for quite a while now. And Leon is a very intelligent guy. He just wrote a book, Boer met klein vee, Farm with Small Stock. And yeah, the knowledge that Leon has is phenomenal. And I think that we are really privileged to have him here. Leon, we look forward to listening to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Breyton. Thank you, Donald, for the information. I know Breyton did some thanks here, and I want to do some congratulations here now. Firstly, I think you should give a big hand to the Western Cape government, to Donald, who arranged a day like this. I come originally from Gauteng, and more recently now from the Free State, and I haven't seen these days there. So I want to congratulate you people on arranging days like this. I think it is very valuable. Ladies and gentlemen, my presentation will be on internal parasites or pests and parasites in confined spaces, because Donald told me we're going to speak to people that doesn't have very big, extensive, large farms. But I want to tell you that even in an extensive, large farm, animals need to sleep somewhere, because jackal and predators is a big problem in our country. So animals need to sleep somewhere. And this is, my talk will be specifically, and I'm going to just give an example of a cup. I see a watch here. Is this for me, Donald? Oh, goodness gracious. Will be specifically to talk about your place where the animals sleep at night. What is the dangers that involve those places? I give you there my information. If you don't want to ask a question, you are welcome to contact me later on, and we will talk about this. I just want to warn the people out there in cyberspace that some of the slides might be a little bit graphic, but I believe everybody that are here is farmers, and everybody out there want to be farmers. They have seen this, so I don't think it will be too offensive to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you a couple of slides, and I'm sure you have seen this. I'm sure you have witnessed this. We've got many names for this that we can describe it, and the Afrikaans has got very nice descriptive words, but I've changed them all because I heard that the minister is going to be here, so I changed a bit of my nomenclature when I'm using this. I'm sure you have witnessed this, and if you have, you can raise your hands because it's so difficult when I cannot see the faces past the masks. I'm sure you have seen this, or perhaps you have seen this in your kraals, or even this. And all of this, ladies and gentlemen, have got one thing in common. It is a gastrointestinal tract infection. And it doesn't just cause an infection, it can be destruction of the gastrointestinal tract. We will later on have a look at that. But I'm sure many of you, when your lambs or calves have died, when your chickens have died, and you did a post-mortem, now I know not everybody do a post-mortem. I am on a Facebook page, and I don't know Facebook very well, where the people talk about animal diseases. And then they will show you a picture looking like this and say, what might this be? Why did this animal die? We won't know. The animal died. I know why the animal died. He died from dehydration because of diarrhea. But that is, we need to know what kind of diarrhea this was. But I'm sure you have seen intestines like this. It's quite common. And I'm not saying this is poor farming that you see pictures like this. I'm sure Donald have seen pictures like this. And they are in a very, very proper farming system. Where does this come from? I'm going to take out three major causes. There are quite a lot. There are Salmonella, Shigella, the coronavirus that we all know is responsible for diarrhea. Coronavirus is an animal virus, not a human virus. We've got it now because it mutated. But I'm going to talk three major causes of these. One is Escherichia coli, or the people quite wrongly refer to it as E. coli. and some doesn't even pronounce it. They some call it E. coli. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a bacterial disease. We will get to it in more detail now later on. And this is, many animals will die, lambs, young animals. These are mostly diseases of young animals. Why? Because they haven't developed proper immunity yet. And this is the reason why. Where does the animal sleep? Your animals, the cow that gave birth, My English daughter always complain about me saying you and not you. And I'm not sure about pronunciation. They lie, where they lie, there are manure lying there. So when they get up, those teats of the udder is lying in manure. Now the lamb come and they suckle on those teats. What are they taking in? They take in that manure, the spores from the bacteria. So they don't have an immunity yet. The immunity haven't developed properly yet. And where does the immunity come from? From colostrum. What is colostrum? That first milk that the mother produces once the lamb or the calf is born, when the baby is born. That very first milk is colostrum. It's full of antibodies. And they must get this in. But now they get insufficient colostrum. There can be various reasons for this. And then they don't have a proper immune system, and then they might die from it, or they get the infection. But even a bigger problem, hygiene. Donald have spoken about hygiene when he was presenting. Hygiene, and this is why I put it in bold letters in red. Then next to it, it is starting to put its feet here in the Western Cape. When I did a bit of research before I came for the talk, I was looking at Fafa Malan. Dr. Fafa Malan is doing this National Health Laboratory or National Health Diseases webpage, and then they do presentations of which diseases are occurred where. And there's little dots. If you would go and look, you will see little dots here in the Western Cape. So it's coming here, so be cautious. It's like a weed. It will take over if we don't control it. In the Free State, it is a major, major problem. There on the border of the Lesotho country, there is big, big issues about this. And this one's name is Cryptosporidium Parvum. People just refer to it as crypto. And Cryptosporidium on its own is not so bad. And E. coli on its own is also not so bad. But Buddha, let these two combine. It's like two children that wants to do something naughty. They just boost and boost and boost each other. So a combination of Cryptosporidium and E. coli is causing serious, serious problems. What is a predisposing factor to this? It is an infectious environment. We will get to it later on. And secondly, the predisposing factor is hygiene. Then the third one that you will encounter, and these are the only three that I'm going to talk about because they only gave me 2 hours to speak today, is Coccidia species, Eimeria. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got Coccidia, your dog have got Coccidia, your children have got Coccidia, the chickens have, the pigs have, the cattle have, everybody's got Coccidia. Everything that lives have got Coccidia. Not if they have it, you have it. And you have immunity against it, it doesn't cause problems. But the young, once again, young animals haven't developed immunity yet. And because of that, it can cause severe disease in the animals. So once again, manure buildup is a predisposing factor, and together with this is hygiene. Once again, hygiene is a very important aspect that we must consider. Okay, let us look at these different exciting causes of these diseases, of the diarrhea diseases. I'm just quickly going to go over this. This is actually purely for academic importance, but that you understand it. Everybody by now in this country is an epidemiologist, and everybody in this country now know what a virus is, thanks to COVID-19. Now we can learn about other microorganisms too. Number one, Escherichia coli is a rod-shaped Gram-negative bacteria, the gram-negative, just see when we make a diagnosis, you stain them with gram staining, and then it either stain gram-positive or gram-negative, gives us an indication of the type of bacteria. It is facultative anaerobic, meaning it can survive in an area that doesn't have a lot of oxygen. And where is this? In the intestines. There's not much oxygen there. The nutrient distribution must happen there. It is motile. That's very important. These ugly gogas can swim. They can move in the intestine. And they colonize the intestinal tract. They literally go in here and they colonize this place and cause severe damage while they are there. We will later on have a look at that. And then there are hundreds of serotypes. Not all Escherichia coli bacteria is pathogenic. Pathogenic means can cause disease. Some of them are commensals. They are there. They don't really cause problems. But then there are others, and they are severely pathogenic, causing severe disease in the animals. Diseases, what do they cause? Firstly, Escherichia coli scours, diarrhea. They will cause, in Afrikaans, they've got a very nice description for that, and the minister's not here yet, so I can use the word. They call it witskittery, and you can understand why. They also call it Reierziekte and all kinds of very descriptive farmers' names for this disease. And, ladies and gentlemen, if not treated, the animal will die. The lamb will die. Don't underestimate diarrhea in young animals. It is a very serious disease. They dehydrate very quickly, and from the dehydration they get kidney failure, and from that they will then die. So prominently, it's definitely, you will see cases like this that will occur. Lots of mortalities. Then there's another one of them, and they cause a septicemic colibacillosis, where they cause septicemia in the intestines. Septicemia, we call it in Afrikaans bloedvergiftiging. And once that is in there, the animal has got such an infection, and the animal will not survive. Such an animal will die due to it. And you can see it there in the intestine, severely red and inflamed. Now, the naughty, dirty neighbor's son, in collaboration with Escherichia coli, is Cryptosporidium Parvum, and this is not even a bacteria. This one is a protozoa, also a microorganism, one of the microorganisms. Lots of species, 26 species of them, of which Cryptosporidium Parvum is the real culprit. And how do the transfer happens? Via water, infectious environment, infectious lamb that contaminate the whole area, lambs and calves, young animals, and then lastly, humans. If you walk through a dirty environment like this, sewage spills, raw sewage material, and your gumboots look like this, and you walk into the kraal, you transfer this protozoa onto your environment there. And remember now, once again, I said, sorry, can I just take a bit of water? Otherwise, I'm going to cough, and then they think I've got the virus. I just want to tell the Minister of Health, I do have my mask. You will spread it all over your environment, where your animals are sleeping. And what will happen? Once again, like I said with coccidia, they're going to lie down, they're going to get up, the lamb is going to suckle, or the calf is going to suckle, and they take this spores in there. So important that to realize humans can transfer this disease. And then, secondly, this is a zoonosis. Humans can get the disease. We all know this wonderful virus that are floating around and messing up everything. It's also a zoonosis. It's an animal virus that affects us now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, diseases caused by it. Once again, now we call it Cryptosporidium scours. Scours mean diarrhea. The animal have got diarrhea, but the diarrhea must have an exciting cause. It must come from something. Sometimes it's nutritional, but then you must understand why it's nutritional. Like Donald have said, you keep animals in one area. Let's say it's a very dry area where you keep them, and all of a sudden it rains, and there's lush grass and everything. The Lucerne land is open. We put our animals out into the green field. They're going to overeat themselves, and they're going to develop diarrhea. But then you can understand it is because they overeaten themselves on a change in the diet. Okay, so we've got Cryptosporidium scours, most of the time combined with Escherichia coli, and they will cause death of the animals. It's not if, they will. Because by the time that we can treat, it's going to be too late. It's very difficult to treat. We will get to it just now. Very, very limited treatment options, and always, basically always, it is too late. And once an animal looks like this, then there's no chance that that animal is going to survive unless you do very intensive treatment to rehydrate such an animal, to stop the infection, to stop the inflammation, to rehydrate such an animal. Okay. Then I'm going on to the next one, and that is number 3, Coccidia, which is also a protozoa with hundreds and hundreds of species, various species. And some species, there will be thousands inside your animal, and they will do nothing. And other species, for instance, Eimeria ovonoidalis and Eimeria grandalis, they will just be limited, small numbers of them, and they can cause severe diarrhea in the flock. So it's very, very important to realize they will be there. It's not if they are there, I guarantee you that. The fact of the matter is we must now maintain that we can control this in our flock. We will get to how to do this. The 2 pathogenic species, like I said, Eimeria ovonoidalis and Eimeria grandalis, and then once again, transfer of these buggers is via the environment, via infectious lambs, and also I can put the gumboots there. If you walk in the camp, now, just think about it. And I'm going to tell you later on, you must separate your young ones and your old animals from each other. The young animals mustn't be with the older flock. But now you go and feed the animals in the old flock. Remember, they've got coccidia. I said everybody's got coccidia. They just have immunity against it. And now you walk from there through their little cow pads or through the manure and everything, and you walk to the camp where the lambs and the calves are. You transfer these organisms to that area. So it's important that you understand the environment plays a very big role in this. And the diseases, diarrhea, once again. Causing, and this is one of the diarrheas, Donald said when you walk in your camps, you must look at the manure. This is one of the most important aspects that you must do on your farm. Whether it's big or small, doesn't matter. One of the most important aspects, before you even look at your animals, look at their fecal output. Is there tapeworm segments in them? Does it look like the way it should? Does the sheep have pellets? You know, a sheep mustn't have these nice round baboon cuttles. It must look like pellets, bokdrolletjies. If it's not, then it's diarrhea. Then there's something wrong. Cattle have got these nice big landmine cow pads, but it must be a nice round cow pad. It mustn't be a splash all over the show. This is one of the wonders of the world that I don't understand. All ruminant species, even game, you can go from a giraffe, from an elephant, giraffe, all of them have got round pellets. Elephants is big and a duikertjies is small, except for a buffalo and a cow. They've got a pad, and I don't understand why. Why do all of them have round ones, and then you get a cow and a buffalo, and they've got this pad? But okay, it's one of the things that I must still sort out in life. Here you will see them. Not these big guys. These are internal parasites that Donald was talking about. They can also kill your flock, but they make them sick first. And the young ones don't die from that because they only take them in once they start grazing. These are the ones that you are looking for. Very small little buggers. And there are millions of them. All depends whether they're pathogenic or not. But what do you see here? When I said you must look at the manure in your kraal, what do you see? You see blood in the feces. Sometimes you can smell it. Where does that blood come from? It comes from the destruction of the intestinal wall of the intestines, of the mucous membrane. So there's literally blood. So now your animal is bleeding. It's got an open wound in the intestine. Remember I told you that you can get a septicemia from this. Because now you've got an open wound, plus you've got an infectious organism there. So it ends up in the bloodstream. So it is here very important that you pick this up very quickly. Because once you get there, then treatment is very difficult. And one can treat them. But if the intestines have been damaged so severely, you can stop this infection and you can give your animal food, and the lamb will be healthy, or the calf. They will be healthy, but they will never grow out to be a nice, big, productive animal. Why not? Because the intestines are damaged. They will forever be these little garinggat animals. Don't build up condition. So you mustn't wait until this happens and then treat and think, okay, now I've won the battle. No. You've just saved a life. That animal is going to suffer for very long afterwards. Okay, let us just look at the summary of the symptoms. From E. coli and Cryptosporidium, and Coccidia species. Firstly, diarrhea. We've now seen all of them give the animal diarrhea. Diarrhea always have a secondary disease or a secondary symptom. I always tell my students, all of you have heard this little song of the head bones connected to the neck bones, connected to the back bones, connected to the leg bone. Everything in your body, there's 11 systems. From the neurological system to the digestive system. And all of these systems are connected, ladies and gentlemen. And so what happens from diarrhea, the secondary problem will be dehydration. From dehydration, secondary problem will be kidney failure. And from kidney failure, that's a dead animal. Also, due to dehydration, you will get weakness, emaciation, and eventually the mortality of the animal. How do we pick up dehydration? You take the skin of the animal. You can take it here in the cheek, or you can take the skin of the animal, and we say you taint it. You pull it up, let it make make a little, I'm almost there, dehydrated here. But this is all this hand sanitizer. You pull up the skin and make it little, make a little pyramid. And it must go flat immediately. Old people, it doesn't happen because they've got loose skin now. So mine might also be because of old age. But the skin must go back very quickly. Or you look at the eyes. Eyes must not be sunken in the sockets. Eyes must be nice out, fresh, looking good. If it is sunken in the eye sockets, then it is a sign of dehydration. And then when you talk, in Afrikaans, it's got a very nice word for that little white lamb. They call it a krimpgat. When the poor animals stand like this, it is obvious. There's no problem or identifying this. Donald was looking at your animals and observing your animals. Now I've got a concept that I teach my students. I talk about the 1-3-5 concept. 1 mean observing your animals every day at least once. From a distance, look at your animals. 3 mean you look at 3 things when you do that observation. Number 1 is the head. Because if they are sick, you can see it in the eyes, you can see it in the muzzle, you can see it in the ears. You observe the head, then you observe the hunger groove. This little triangle that you get between the last rib and the hip bone. That hunger groove gives you an indication this animal did not eat the past 12 hours. And then lastly, you look at the movement. Now, it's pretty obviously that movement of any of the up there will tell you the animal is sick. And once you've done that, and not everything, if the head and the movement and the hunger groove is not all thumbs up, then it means you need to bring the animal in and examine the animal. Proper examination. Temperature, pulse, respiratory rate, the rumen if it is an older animal, and the condition score of the animal. You must look at those five aspects in identifying if something is wrong. Okay, let us look at what happens if there is damage, because I told you this will now damage the intestinal tract. Up there you see a normal intestine. Normal intestine have got little villi. We call it villi. It's like little fingers that trap the food. Can I stand there? Now I will speak loud. They will hear me. I've got a loud voice. If I've got this thing, then I cannot hear. Okay. Oh, sorry, the online people. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the intestines, then you see these little villi. And the food goes through there and it gets trapped there. And this is how the food and the blood is in here, and that will absorb the nutrients, and the nutrients will then move on to the liver and distribute it to the rest of the body. Now what happens if you have a infection here? This is now an example of E. coli. They colonize these villi. And what happens now? They destroy it. And here you have now this development of inflammation. So this is where the septicemia come from. But what happens with coccidia, and you will see it here in these little nodules there. Okay, now I'm done. Can I give it back to you? Or can I just keep it there? Okay, I'll just put it here. Now, what happens with coccidia is they invade, they've got what we call sporocysts. And they invade this villi and they multiply by asexual reproduction, and then they burst this villi open and they invade other ones. So what's happening? This one is gone now. And then they invade these ones, and now these ones are gone. So where the villi was looking like this, now all of a sudden it looks like this. And when the food is coming through, the food's not going through, it's just running through. So nothing is absorbed. So where does the blood come from? From this destruction of the intestines. Where does the food go to? Right through. And this is why it's not being absorbed. What is coming in here is processed in the rumen or in the stomach, but just water is coming out because there is severe destruction of the intestines. Okay, what is our treatment options? I've now always, I hate my part of giving these presentations because I always make the people scared. But you don't need to be. It's very easy to resolve this. So don't be, or be scared of this, but it can be resolved. That's not a problem. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, I've given you three options. I've said there are many, and there are many. There are other bacteria, other protozoa, and other viruses that can cause diarrhea and infections. So number one, you need to get a differential diagnosis. You need to know what is the origin of this infection. Yes, we can just treat the symptoms. What is a symptom is diarrhea. We can just give the animal charcoal, and we can give him kaolin, and we can give him commercial products that are commercially available. But does that resolve the problem? No, because the infection is still there. So we need to know who is the causative organism so that we can take treatment against them, because we can treat some of these organisms we can kill. This is unfortunately in the hands of veterinarians. They will be able to do it, and most of the times they will send it away to do. One can make smears and do it. We can do it in a fecal account. You can say it is coccidia. We can make smears, but it is something that veterinary doctors are trained to do. So I need to get them involved with this. And now the people say, yeah, but what do they cost? I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much they're going to charge you, it's going to be a bargain. Because I want to tell you one thing that you must understand very clearly. You don't lose a lamp. a 3-day-old lamb or a 4-day-old calf. You lose the potential breeding of that animal. And this is it. This slide I just want to explain to you. You've got one sheep. She's going to produce more, but she's definitely going to produce 6 lambs in a lifetime for you. And those 6 lambs are going to produce 6 lambs in their lifetime. And those 6 are going to produce 6 lambs in their lifetime. So by the time when that little ewe there have produced her 6, these offspring have already produced. So you don't lose one lamb. You lose a whole flock of sheep. So it is a bargain to go and find out what is the cause. It is worth the money to pay for the veterinarian to keep that lamb alive. But even better than that is the fact that we can prevent these diseases. And I'm going to go there. How do we treat? Firstly, is it almost time? Oh, good. Okay, because I can carry on for 2 hours. Luckily, I wanted to say it just seems like 10 minutes now. And I know I've got 2 hours. Okay, firstly, with coccidia, ladies and gentlemen, we can prevent coccidia by dosing our animals. There's oral supplements that we can give them, something like Bacox or Vicoxan, which is the active ingredients is either toltrazuril or a diclazuril. Oral dosing that we can give them. And usually the people do give them to the lambs at a certain stage. But especially in the pig industry and in the poultry industry, and nowadays it's big in the ruminant industry too, especially in feedlots, they've got a mixture that we mix into the feed of the animals. So you provide this mixture to the lambs and they take, we call them coccidiostats. And they can prevent then the coccidia to overgrow in the intestinal tract of the animals. With E. coli, or I say E. coli, and then just in the beginning I say don't use the word E. coli, I call it Escherichia coli. With Escherichia coli, there are numerous antibiotics. And please don't take this down and say, Leon said I must use this, because read there in the bottom, I say antibiotic resistance is real. Antibiotics belong in the hands of veterinarians, ladies and gentlemen. Terramycin is not the alpha and the omega of treatment in livestock. Chirotrim, and I don't know who is terramycin's producer, so I'm not taking them out. Chirotrim, Neomycin, Bivitop, which is a recent one that's on the market, Xanel, Xseed, there's many. It is gentamicin, not genta, just genta. So we can treat Escherichia coli with antibiotics. But I'm going to show you just now, we cannot just rely on that. And I will tell you why. And then with Cryptosporidium Parvum, this is why it is so difficult to treat. There's only one product that we can use. It's called Halocure. And this is why I say don't get Cryptosporidium in the Western Cape. If there's anybody, the minister should be here. They should take, but Breyton will transfer the message to him. If there is an outbreak of Cryptosporidium, they must kill this germ at that very moment. Don't let it become like the COVID-19 virus. We can get Halocure. No, we cannot get Halocure. You can treat it with Halocure. To get Halocure is difficult, because now you must require a Section 21 prescription, which only the Minister of Agriculture can give you. So it's going to take, now you got to go through this whole process. And then it's an oral supplement that you will give, solution that you will give the animals, and it doesn't really kill them, it just reduce the shedding of the oocysts to prevent further spread of this disease. And you should start this 24 to 48 hours after birth. So one must actually be very proactive on this, and it is not the easiest thing to do. I said antibiotics is resistant. I don't know if you all can read there, but I'm just going to read you some of them. If you look at penicillin, it's resistant group A and E. coli, group A E. coli and group B. E. coli. It's resistant against penicillin. And the ampicillin is also one of the the penicillins. Group A is sensitive, but group B is resistant. If you look at erythromycin, both A and E is resistant, resistant against it. So there are many. Cefoxitin, also resistant. And how do we know this? Because if you have Escherichia coli in your flock, and then we don't know whether it's working because different strains are resistant against different antibiotics. There's one very big reason, ladies and gentlemen, why antibiotics should be administered by veterinarians. Because if you belong to the veterinary council, then you must do, every year, we must do a declaration that we will not use antibiotics indiscriminately. We will only give antibiotics upon positive diagnosis. Because people have these bottles of antibiotics at their farms and they just inject and inject and inject. They don't even maintain the cold chain. They just carry on. But if the animal is sick, doesn't matter what is the problem, they give them antibiotics. And because of that, we've got drug-resistant bacteria. Anybody of you will know, we talk about RTB, resistant TB. Or they call it DRTB, ne? It's for drug-resistant tuberculosis in humans. And nowadays we talk about XDR-TB, extreme drug-resistant tuberculosis. Why? Because of antibiotic resistance. We cannot just use antibiotics. So we need to make a positive diagnosis. Ja, jy kan nie dit vir my sê nie. Donald just now applauded my presentation. I'm almost done. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to push through. Supportive treatment. The veterinarian is not close. You've got a problem here. What do you do for supportive treatment? Give the animals vitamins and minerals. Because with diarrhea, they lose vitamins and they lose minerals because of washing out every time. Vitamin E and selenium, that boosts the immune system. You get also multivitamin plus selenium plus copper, but be careful for goats if you do that one. Vitamin C, boosts the immune complex. Like in humans, same in animals. Chiroligo, Embamin, Embavit, Biboost Reach, Tauctin-Vet, which is an antioxidant. All of this will help in the intestinal tract, to have a proper intestinal tract there. Control of this disease, this is what we can do. We don't need a vet for this. We just need to use common sense, and we can do it. And you can, if you do it, you will have success. I guarantee you this. Only E. coli vaccine is available. You don't get vaccine for coccidia or for Cryptosporidium. And if you do get vaccine for E. coli, it doesn't mean all the strains of E. coli is listed in there. So you need to implement and maintain a preventative program. There's a big drive in the world. They call it the One Health concept. And all of us suffer from it now because of COVID-19. The whole world. Not us, the whole world. Why? Because of the One Health concept. A healthy environment results in healthy animals, result in healthy people. And they are linked. Just for interest's sake, 60% of the diseases that we as humans get, we get from animals. So we need to see to it that we have healthy animals. Then we will have healthy people. And how do we get healthy animals? Through a healthy environment. And I must congratulate the Cape. The minister is not here. He should have heard me now. Because I drove yesterday from the airport through some very posh suburb. Is it Bishops? Something like that. Because the lady took me out to drive. I've driven a bit here in the Cape now. In the 2 days. And it's clean. And I must congratulate you, because it doesn't look like that in other provinces. Okay. Your ewes, your cows, your pigs, sows must produce good quality colostrum. Ladies and gentlemen, here we get back to what Donald said earlier. The good food is giving good results. Good condition have proper colostrum. Proper colostrum, I said, will give you a good immune system. Proper food and nutrition will result in a good condition. Vitamin supplements will provide proper immunity. Rather invest in good vitamin supplements than buying dewormers that doesn't work. Parasite control. I don't say parasite management or parasite program. Parasite control. Dose when it is necessary. How do you know it's necessary? By looking at those dung that is lying on the ground. Healthy environment, and then we have a proper, then this diseases would not be a problem. What happens if your area was contaminated? Deep clean, like with a virus. If there was a positive case, now it's deep clean. Yeah, we get lots of days off nowadays. You know, one student is positive in class, now it's deep cleaning, nobody go to class, everybody work from home. And I don't believe everybody work from home. Okay. Clean the lambing area frequently. If the lambs are there, they deposit constantly. And the mother deposit. And there's blood involved. And there's flies involved. Clean that area properly, frequently. Use deep straw bedding. This grass that the people cut off the pavements of the high roads, don't feed it to the animals. It's full of lead and full of weeds. Use that for bedding material. Proper manure management. Take that manure and make compost from it. And then you can, Donald said compost. Make compost. There's not one compost as good as compost coming from a ruminant. Calf and lamb management, very important. We call it 3 Qs. Quick, quality, quantity, colostrum. That's what you want. They must get it in very quickly. It must be of good quality, and they must get enough, at least 3 to 5 days, because this is how long they've got colostrum. Don't give them 1 day and then you take the lamb away. If a lamb or a calf is affected, they must be rehydrated. Even if it means you must sit there with a little teaspoon and give them some vitamin C and with a teaspoon in. They must be rehydrated. If they are dehydrated, they will die. Keep your lambs and your adults separate. We said now we must have proper kraals. One kraal is for mothers with their babies, one kraal is for the other. Keep them separate. Once again, because the young ones does not have immunity. And if they do show diarrhea, don't do it tomorrow, don't do it this afternoon, because you must look at your animals before 9 in the mornings. Do it then. Quarantine them. Isolate them. We all know what quarantine and isolation mean. We all went through COVID-19 now. No, you mustn't get all jittery now. I'm almost finished. Okay, as a conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, gastrointestinal tract infections do kill. They will kill your young animals. It is an infectious threat to humans too. Don't let your children play with skittery lammertjies. It's going to cause disease to them. It is in your hands. You don't need to sanitize your hands here. You used to use your hands here. It's in your hands to practice proper hygiene and husbandry measures. And I want to thank you with Proverbs 27 verse 23. Be sure you know the conditions of your livestock. Take careful attention of your animals. And may this blessing in Psalm 144 be for all of us. I thank you. Okay. Nee, ek is reg. O, ek moet my water, ja. Net vat iemand anders my bottel.
Okay, Leon, thank you very much. I know that we have some questions from the floor. There was a gentleman that put up his hand just now. So Claudine, there's also a gentleman that has a question. Claudine, if you can maybe just hand him the mic. This can be a question, ladies and gentlemen, to either Donald or to Leon. So, yeah, you can ask a question to Donald or to Leon.
Sorry. Thank you, Breyton. Before I even ask the question, I just want to make a little comment specifically to you. I hope you should be, how should I say this? You should be conscious of the fact that it's not Afrikaans only here in the Western Cape, it's also Xhosa. It's Xhosa. So you should, because it's not for the first time that we reminded you about that. The second thing, to Donald, before I ask the question, also what's this word now? Consider it, because you guys must also be aware that we have history. Once you talk, your examples are Transkei, because even somebody from Cape Town, an urban white guy, wouldn't know breeding with cattle or something like that. So it shouldn't be, because it has some, negative vibe. As a result, you'd find people having difficulty to concentrate, because I've been thinking about it. But anyway, that's beside the point. Then the question that I actually have for Donald specifically is, you guys are talking about resources. SPCA is actually giving us classes. They always give us alternatives that are specifically suitable for our own conditions. I always have problems where you come to a situation of where examples are made of those fancy commercial farms, and yet our situation is totally not there. Like, for instance, if you talk about resources, I just want to make one example talking about the scale, where you put your calves or your lambs or something. Aren't there examples of where you can have alternatives to those? Because we're not gonna have those big scales to measure the weight of those animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question and for the comments. Donald, I will give you an opportunity to answer just now. If you can just take another question from the floor, and then we can answer both questions.
Okay, Pastor Minta from Fulani Farms. I'd like to know, when you talk about the 1, 2, 3, my question is to Mr. Donald. When you talk about 1, 2, 3 rules or principles that you teach to your student, the 5 elements we should check. If you can come again, because it was so quick that we didn't even notice. Number 2, we have an issue of knowledge of the proper medication. When we look at, we try to approach those companies that are producing them, that are manufacturing the animal medicines. You will find out that they completely ignore, I can put it in that way, they completely ignore small farmers. When we invite them to come and expose how we can properly use their medication, they don't come down to us. We just see pteramycin and ITET that we see the most. And we don't have choice. We have to save our animal using that. So I'd like to invite even the SIYABONGA organization to talk to those companies. It on their own profit that we come to know them. It's also in the public profit that we use the proper medicine. So please let them come to, let them allow us to know them. Those are my 2 questions. The third question is not a question, it's just to thank you, because it's not easy to have a professor coming down for small farmers. And I can see that all of you are coming down, you are open to us. So we believe that we will be contacting you and be asking questions and be growing under your advices and counseling. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much especially for the last compliment. I just want to say that, this is the start of the SIYABONGA Days, and we're going to expand it. We're going to come to you with the vaccines. We're going to come to you with the the antibiotics, maybe to show you what should you not do, what must you do, what should you know what's wrong, where should you inject, things like that. Me and Leon have been talking about that, and that's the next phase of the SIYABONGA Days. But for today, it's basic information, getting some knowledge, trying to gain some more information. But I will give to Donald now just to answer quickly. And then also to Leon, I am a bit conscious for time, and I mean Leon and Donald are here for the whole day, so some of these questions that can't be answered like now, we can still have a discussion on that a little bit later on. But Donald, I will give you the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, sir. And referring to Transkei, it is not all my clients that Fairview come and buy goats are from this Transkei, and they love their goats. And so it's not discriminating against them, the people love their goats. The question about the scale, yeah, it's a difficult one if you can't afford one. When it comes to maybe your milk animals, it's easy. You can have a jug, just measure the milk to look for improvement. You look at a calf, one can maybe take a tape or something and measure the growth as well, but mass will be very difficult because you actually need a scale. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe you as farmers can pool together and buy something that you can just initially start weighing that calf and see the weight gain that it has. But it's very important, and I know one doesn't always have the funding. But anyway, thank you.
If I may just add there, one of these pool scales, they don't cost that much. These little one with a finger running up and down. We are actually using them at the University of Free State still to weigh the lambs and to weigh the calves. Put them in a bag and you pull it up. So it is not that expensive. To the pastor, you asked it's not 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 5. All the unequal numbers. 1 meaning you must every day at least once look at every animal you've got. So you must every day observe your animals from a distance. 3 stands for you observe 3 aspects in that animal. Number 1 is the head. Because in the head you've got the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose. And those 3, the eyes and the ears, always give you an indication of the emotional status of that animal. It is if the ears are hanging, or the eyes are teary, or the eyes are not fully open, or the nostrils are clogged up, or the mouth is kept open. On the mouth, on the head, you can see very clearly what is the health status of that animal. Then you look at the hunger groove. The hunger groove is the area between the last rib and the hip bone. There's this little triangle. You see it looks like an upside down triangle. And if the hunger groove is hollow, except if all the animals don't have food because it's drought, then you won't have a bulging hunger groove. Sometimes you have a bulging hunger groove, which is a sign of bloat. But you look at the hunger groove, and that gives you an indication, did the animal eat the previous 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours. Why? Because an animal that is sick will not eat. This is it. The first sign of disease in a ruminant, especially in sheep and goats and cattle, the first sign that you see is the hunger groove is empty, because sick animals don't eat. And then the third one is the movement of the animal. Is the animal doing what the whole flock is doing? If everybody is grazing somewhere but one is lying back there, it's a sign that there's something wrong with that animal. And if one of those 3 have a problem, if you have in the head or the hunger groove or the movement, you see that everything is not thumbs up, then you must bring the animal in and examine the animal. With this, we say you look at the temperature. A thermometer is cheap. It costs less than 50 Rand. You can even buy a stethoscope. I bought the other day for Standard Bank project in the Free State. I bought stethoscopes for less than 40. It was 34 Rand at this game. I'm not making advertisement for Dischem. So then you can listen to the rumen, you can listen to the lungs, you can take the temperature of the animal, and then you look at the condition of the animal. Is the animal in a good condition? Remember that little lamb that stood there that I said looks like a krimpgat or all wrinkled up? You look at the condition of the animal, and I said 5 things. It's a TPR and the condition of the animal, and I can't remember the 5th one now.
It's okay, Leon. You can think about it, and then you can answer later. You can even have a nice chat with the pastor while we're having some lunch. I just want to thank you very much. I think we can give Leon Clear a nice warm hand of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a little bit conscious for time, so I'm going to move on to our next speakers, Mr. Chris Hartzenberg. And I've known Chris for the last few weeks, and I've went to their school, and it's really an inspiring story. And Chris tells me that he comes from the warehouse industry, and to come from the warehouse industry, but to start a small farm at a creche is amazing. And I think that is bringing it down to people in the Cape Flats, people in the Western Cape, and what they do, and the initiatives that there is. And that's why I would like to invite Chris and his wife and one of the teachers at the creche, Teacher Barry, to come forward and tell us a little bit more about what they are doing. It's very, very inspiring, and I really think that we can also learn a lot from what they are doing. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Hartzenberg. This is Maria, and that is Teacher Barry. So we from Africa Community Projects Daycare in Belhar, and what we've done is instead of me doing all the talking, I brought along Maria. She's my wife. She started the creche, and as Breyton explained, I'm from the warehouse or logistics field. So I became entangled in her story, and the two world's class education, and my world is putting things in pallets and containers, and also a little bit of desire to do some farming. So that also became something that were entangled in the whole thing. And then Teacher Barry is obviously very important because he's the one that, or one of the people that works with the project and the children. So this is what we do, and then what we decided to do is we're going to split up the presentation. So there's going to be some that I will be doing, then there's going to be some that Maria is doing, and then there's some that Teacher Barry is going to do. So without any further ado, I'll give over to Maria. The history.
Good afternoon, everyone. I started the ECD at 2001. When I looked at our community as a whole, I saw the need of the young children and even the children coming from schools, and there's nothing for them. They don't know how even to there was some educate going on in Belhar, but how to care for the land itself. So this time I said to myself, let us improvise something for the children. And then I started my ECT at home, because well, you know what poverty means and how children can react to poverty. So I started the ECT, and I went to my family and I asked my family and friends, can't they help me with what I've got in mind for these young kids? And we started our constitution and all that nitty-gritties. And then the city of Cape Town gave me a dilapidated building. And the dilapidated building was so terrible. And he said to me once, I said, please, I'll see what we can do. So we cleaned the building out, and the parents and the community came along with spades, and they started with the outside of the ECT. And yeah, and that is how Africa Community Project started. Sorry, people. In 2005, we moved into this vandalized building. And as I said to you now, we named it Africa Community Projects. We started our tally center. The tally center was started for the children with projects, because some of them don't have access to computers. So even myself, at the age of 50, I was becoming computer literate because of technology. So that is all now in this nutshell. Then we started in 2009, we started our rainwater harvesting and the earthworm farming. The earthworm farming is doing quite good, and the rainwater harvesting is helping a lot. Then we had chickens, and we had a calf, and we had like some bulls going on. And the children would love these animals, and they were small, and they've learned how to nurture them, how to feed them, and even the earthworms itself. So we had all this going on. Then Chris again came to me and said, yo, this is now so nice, but let us start the aquaponics. So we started the aquaponics farming also. And yeah. And the children is doing so great, because when they go to school, they would really have, they would have that love for planting. They would have, because around us is schools, and that principal always asks, where's our children? Because they know the children, they like to, where the soils, as you said, they go green. So that is a lot in a nutshell. Ek is nie baie goed in baie te praat en te verduidelik, ek wil die ding doen. Mense, so verskoon my asseblief, ek gaan het maar oorgie vir Chris.
Okay, keep that. Okay, I'll go further then. So Belhar hasn't, a bit about the Belhar community. Belhar hasn't flourished as a community. There are just too many stumbling blocks, and I'm sure that it's the same in your community as well. Joblessness and lack of economic opportunities. School dropout rate is alarmingly high. And children is unable to concentrate in class due to hunger and stress levels. And then another problem is the little children. They will roam in the streets begging, either for food or for money. And then obviously the COVID-19 pandemic, just something about the begging. So we've got the kids then coming into the creche. And then I went to the toilet, and I was washing my hands in the toilet, and this little boy came in, and he also wanted to wash his hand, and he was all smiles, a big smile, and he touched my heart. And then he said to me, Uncle Chris, het Uncle Chrissy vir my 'n randie. So that's the thing. So he must have learned it from his brothers, his sisters, but that is something that will stay with him as he grows older, and he will go to school and he will still ask the same question. Going over to the next slide. So what we do is we integrate aquaponics. So aquaponics is a big word, but bear with me. And then we also do ICT coding with the little children and the after-school care kids, the bigger children. We produce organic food at source, and then we also recycle and upcycle at source. So we have a greenhouse, a tunnel. So it's an indoor-outdoor classroom activity, and we call it activity number 1. It's part of the aquaponic system, but it can also run as a hydroponic system. In other words, it can also run alone with just plants in it. And just to break down the aquaponics, the word aquaponics, so aqua means something aquatic, so something fish. In our case, we do tilapia fish. And then ponics is plants. So the aquaponics combine these two. So ponics is also derived from hydroponics. And what the greenhouse does for us, it protects the grow beds or grow boxes that's in the greenhouse against theft and vandalism. So on the farm you have predators. In our case, our predators or our risk is the naughty community members that will come visit us at night to come and steal, to go and sell that stuff, and then they don't buy food. So the greenhouse is filled with grow boxes, and then the children plant in those green boxes and harvest as needed. The objective is develop motor skills and eye coordination and a number of other important things. And like it also does produce organic food at source. The children. Is that yours? Okay, so this is where I stop. I'm the technical person, so I don't want to venture into Teacher Barry's thing, so you can go ahead, teacher.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Teacher Barry. I am an ECD practitioner, and also I've currently been promoted to handywoman. So I do maintenance work, I do everything if Uncle Chris needs me. So I dig, I hammer, I grind, I drill. So if you mess with me, I'll tighten your nuts. Yeah, so what we do is, like the slide says, how do we teach the children and what do we do with the children? They have weekly programs, they have daily programs, and we have themes. So when the children have themes, we discuss those themes. Say, for instance, our theme for the week would be farm animals or plants and gardening. That's the most exciting themes that they love. Because when it comes to plants and gardening, we take them out. We take them to the garden, and they even go there every day. They like to go there every day because they can put their hands in the soil, they can mess with the water, they can explore and just enjoy. They can come in dirty and the parents won't complain because the children have gained they've learned something. So yeah, we demonstrate a lot of things to them. How do we pick the plants out? How do we put the plants back in? What do we do, and what do they produce? So all those things, the kids are so excited. They would tell us, teacher, you'll ask you 50,000 questions and you will just have to answer those questions. Teacher, how do we get the plants? How do they grow? What do they do? And you know, all that. It might sound silly to some people, but it is a valid question, valuable for them, because that is how they learn. So with all said, I'm going to give this to Uncle Chris, because Uncle Chris talk fish. I only talk children.
Okay, so we've got a fish house, so it's basically a wooden structure, and it's part of the aquaponics system. And like I explained to you, it can also, in this case, operate as an aquaculture system with only the fish in it. And the fish house is filled with fish tanks. In here, children feed fish and then harvest plate-sized fish. Objective for us is, at least the structure will protect fish tanks against theft and vandalism, produce organic food. It also develop motor skills and eye coordination. But I mean, there's a host of other benefits that the kids benefit from this. Just to explain to you the aquaponics, how it works. So so in layman terms, and simple word. So what happens, it's an indoor-outdoor classroom activity, in this case now activity number 4. So what happens is water circulate between the fish tanks and the grow boxes. Grow boxes are filled with plants, and the fish tanks filled with fish. And there's a working relationship between the plants and the fish. The fish provide nutrients to the plants, and then in return for that nutrients, the plants clean the water for the fish. And that cycle runs 24/7, 365 days a year. So you have a continuous food source on your table. Our objective is children learn to produce organic food, and then obviously there's a number of other benefits. Then we also have the water harvesting and well point, because the aquaponics system use 90% less water than your conventional farming method. But to do it, you need a lot of water for the fish to survive in. It's an indoor-outdoor activity. It's our activity number 5. We teach children about water scarcity, and I mean the drought that we had. And it also teaches them about solutions, water harvesting solutions. The teachers show them the rainwater tanks and well points. So in other words, it becomes a classroom activity. And the teacher will also let them hear as the water falls into the tanks or pumping the water. Objective here, children learn about water conservation. Excuse me, it's not COVID-19. Just need a little bit of water, but that's fine. I'll get that as soon as I go to my seat. The hatchery is a activity number 6. So we deal with 2 things here. It's fish, hatching fish, and also hatching chickens. So chicken feed the fish, and they feed the chickens, and then in that whole mix, breed and hatch fish and chicks. Thank you, teacher. So what you see on your slide there is the egg tray and the incubator. But children learn where food comes from. It develop their cognitive and hand-eye coordination. And then, I mean, there's a lot of other things that they also learn. Seedling teacher.
Yes, the seedlings. We, Uncle Chris, have a system where we have to put the seeds in a sandbox. While we've had many trials and many different systems of how we want to germinate or what if, the seeds. But then, as they grow, we teach them how to wash the roots and how to put it back into the boxes or grow boxes, so that and watch them grow. And then as they grow, we replant them, and so there's like a whole system. So every time they grow a little more, we have to take the seeds out of the little plants out, wash their roots, and so the children get excited because they've even started naming their own little plant that they've been busy with. It's Sarki, as Donnie, as my ma, as my pa. So it's like different names for different plants. So yes, they get excited to do all those little things while they it also teaches them, it develops them cognitively, so they know that this is lettuce, this is tomatoes, this is cucumbers, and this is what we do with these things. We eat them in salads, and so we go on.
Okay, so keep your mic. So we also have a Earthworm Farm. So Earthworm Farm is our activity number 8. Yeah. So children will bring green waste. They will clean, cut, and feed it to the earthworms. The objective here is to reduce landfill waste and protect the environment. And at the same time, develop their motor skill and hand-eye coordination. There is also a host of other benefits that they do get. Next, is that you, teacher?
Yes, we have recently got in contact with a company that does recycle, so children are also being made aware of how, about recycling and what to do with waste and in which basket bin they must go. So these children also get cognitive development by knowing what color. There's a orange for paper, there's a blue for plastic, and there's a red for metal, and for other waste there's a yellow. So they would know, teacher, I must put this in the yellow bin, I must put this in the red bin. So they get math skills, they get cognitive development of what they can name their colors, and they bring their waste from home. So they, teacher, yeah, I brought toilet paper rolls. Good shot. We put it in there. Which one must it go in the red bin? So yes, Uncle Chris is a bit vinnig vir my met sy composting.
We just need to obviously keep the time also in check. So next is the composting. We also do composting at the facility. So here it's our it's activity number 10, and yet again children bring the green kitchen waste. They clean, cut, and place the waste into the compost bin. So there is dedicated compost bins. So once they get that package like you see there, they will go through it and obviously do the sorting, decide what goes where. Should it need to go to the earthworms, they will put it in that basket. Then the objective, reduce landfill waste and protect the environment, and as with the others, develop the motor skill and hand-eye coordination. Then we also have a solar power. So solar power is important for us. The solar power produces electricity to run the system. And it also then heat water for the fish, because tilapia needs the water to be temperature to be in the 20 to 30 range. Then what the teachers also do is they will take them to the solar system and they will show them the system. It becomes a class activity. Then our objective with this is that it teaches children about renewable energy. And as you all know, Eskom grid is under pressure, and we all suffer with these load settings from time to time. Okay, Diarrhea does it again with me. This is our slide. So, in 2015, Diarrhea then entered the NDA South African Early Childhood Development Awards. They got an instruction from social development that they need to participate. She entered, and then she won the best as the best ECD center of 2015 in the Western Cape. And then they said, okay, it's not finished, you must now compete nationally. And she competed nationally and she won the best ECD center of the year of 2015 in the informal category. Plans for the future. So we need infrastructure, expansion, alterations and upgrades. The Belhar multipurpose center, in particular the CPU students have drawn up plans in 2005 already that needs to be taken to another level or to a higher level. The Africa Community Projects Telecenter require ICT and multimedia equipment. The aquaponics system and its ancillaries require more equipment for expansion. And the solar system also need some more solar panels and equipment. The rainwater harvesting needs more tanks and plumbing equipment to expand that water harvesting system. And then to curb or to secure the entire space, we need security wall constructed with shipping containers, prefabricated concrete slabs, and CCTV systems that can, once the guys come and visit at night, can take a nice picture of them, and we can go and visit them and have a talk with them later on. Okay, then the team. So you all saw Maria Hartzenberg. She's the founder. I'm the chairperson. And then I've got a committee. And then there's the principal, Christoline, who's obviously telling teacher when she needs to do and what things she needs to do. And then the support team. So there's a whole range of people that assist. But I think importantly for us is Mr. Ismail. He's a lecturer at CPUT, Cape Peninsula University of Technology. he heads the Center for Mechanical and Mechanics and Technology. And he's also obviously heading the community project Believe Aquaponics, or presenting that at the university. Then we have Dr. Otto Krusen. He's now retired. He's a retired lecturer. He's replaced by Fatima Delgado. Dr. Otto and Fatima is from the TU Delft University, and his department is cross-cultural and entrepreneurship. And what they does is they will send students every year that will work for 3 months on the project to get it obviously in a better shape. Then we've got Stijn Burmanje. He's an ex-student from the Netherlands. They started Believe Foundation to raise funds abroad in Netherlands. And then he also obviously assists the other students that will come and work on the project. Then there's Kubashan Pillay, and like I explained to you, there's a whole range of people that assist, but Kubashan Pillay is very important because he picks up the phone and he calls and he will send stuff on a weekly, monthly basis. He's from Into Foods, and he's the technical and operational manager. That's the end of my story, or our story. Thank you very much. Dankie man.
Thank you very much, Chris and Teacher Barry, and also to his wife, Maria. Thank you very much. I just want to say to our online viewers, we've just been joined by the Minister of Agriculture in the Western Cape, Dr. Ivan Meyer. Minister Meyer, a warm welcome to you here. Dis lekker om vir u hier te hê vandag. It's just started to rain as Minister Meyer came in, so we are thankful for the rain. And also Mr. Jerry Aries, one of our speakers. Jerry, welcome to you here. We have a question. We're a little bit conscious for time, but I just want to handle this question quickly before we leave Chris. Chris, this question comes from Shemaine Loupsher. My question to Chris Hartzenberg and his team, firstly, thank you to what you are doing for the children and agriculture, creating the love of agriculture within the children. Will you be able to assist us in Langebaan with directions, knowledge, and advice on setting up a project where we can incorporate our ECDs into developing community garden project?
We will be glad to advise, give support wherever we can. What they also can do is they can go online, because there's a lot of information online, and it's fairly straightforward and simple things that they can do. In our case, for example, we use solar power to heat up the water, but if you don't have solar power, you can possibly put in another fish in that system, or alternatively, you can run the system without fish, and it's a hydroponic system.
I think that not only for his presentation, but for what they are doing, we can give Chris and his wife and their team a warm round of applause. So next up, we will have Renshia Manuel. Like I said, Renshia is actually studying at the Kaap Agri Academy at the moment, and I spoke to her in this week, and she said that she will take off today to speak with you guys. Renshia, we are very fortunate to have you here, and we look forward to listening to you.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Is it officially afternoon now? Yeah, it's 12:05, so officially afternoon now. So my name is Renshia Manuel, and I'm from Hanover Park. So if you know the Cape Flats, you know Hanover Park is just around the corner. And I run a company called Growbox, and it's an agricultural company. And I'm just going to explain to you or tell you today how my journey started and how I got to where I am today. So, sorry, do I sound a bit stuttery? I'm a bit nervous. You people are making me nervous. Okay, especially the ministers here, so you know, it's a big thing. Must look nice, yes. So, Growbox started 4 years ago. I was unemployed at the time, struggling to feed my kids, made a whole lot of copies of my CV and went to different companies. I knew I had the potential to be employed, but I couldn't find work at the time. And it was such a struggle because I had matric, I had driver's license, but you know, I'm just getting negative answers everywhere I go. I tried the online route, applying wherever I could, and nothing happened. So just by chance, there was this ad in the paper. It was the City of Cape Town, and they had a program called Youth Start, where they asked unemployed youth, and at that time I still fell into the youth category. So, you know, I jumped at the opportunity. Unemployed youth that had business ideas that would create jobs within the communities that they came from, created employment, but also have an impact within those communities. And at the time of this unemployment, I was really struggling, and we started a vegetable garden in my backyard. You know, me and the kids, we took a barren piece of ground and we converted it, and we took seeds from vegetables that we had, and we bought additional seeds, and we started a vegetable garden, and it worked out real well. And we were like chuffed because that was our supper. I'd send them to the garden, they can choose what they wanted, whether it was cabbage or carrots, spinach, and that would be our supper for the evening. And I've always had this fascination for gardening, and I'm totally in love with stodels. If I go there, that's like my mecca, so to say. I love garden centers. So my idea for Youth Start was a nursery within Hanover Park. I was going to start a nursery that would create employment and empower other mothers just like me, and you know, that was my idea. So I entered Youth Start with this dream of a nursery within Hanover Park, and the more we did the workshops and the more we went through the pitching sessions, they said, find your niche and find what makes you unique, but with an emphasis on social impact. So I was thinking, how can my nursery create a social impact within Hanover Park? And then looking at the situation that I was in, we needed to grow our own food, but there wasn't any spaces available. Many of the households live in flats. They live in someone's backyard. If you look at informal settlements, sometimes the environmental factors around their homes, they needed a space or a medium for them to grow their own food, but there was none. And initially, that is what made me win third place in the competition. I finished Youth Start winning third place. With that prize money, I registered the business. I bought a second-hand computer. I bought my first startup stock, which was seeds and trays, and I started growing, and that was where Growbox was born. So Growbox, in essence, is a social enterprise. We grow vegetable and herb seedlings wholesale, selling to farms, retail nurseries, and government entities like Department of Social Development or Department of Agriculture. We also manufacture these wooden veggie boxes, which we call grow boxes. And thus we supply to our clients in an easy, hassle-free veggie box. We currently have 6 gardens available. For instance, if you want a Mediterranean box, then everything in that box is for that Mediterranean meal. Or if you want a salad box or a stir-fry box. So we customize the boxes to the client's needs, and they come in various sizes. And then we also partner with NGOs, NPOs, and corporates, where we facilitate social impact programs, teaching households how to grow their own food. So we teach them anything from composting, soil nutrition, seed catching, how to grow food from used food, giving them the skills that they need so that they can grow food at their own homes within small spaces, and not necessarily growing within a grow box, but growing in tires, growing in old pallets or crates or in an old bath, but giving our communities the opportunities and the skills for them to impact their households and impact the communities around them. So in essence, that is what we do. Initially when Growbox started in 2016, it was just in my backyard. I had this little space and there was literally plants and seedlings everywhere. And then we needed to expand. So I couldn't find available land in Hanover Park, and I went to my son's high school and I asked the principal, is there any way we can start our nursery at the school? And they said, sure, there's a space, you can take it. But now I had a space and I didn't have any infrastructure. I didn't have any money. I didn't know where to go. So I wrote like 20 letters to different corporate companies, all leaders in the industry. And Netafirm was one of the companies that gave us our first start, and they saw the potential and they said, sure, we'll give you a greenhouse. And all those who know Netafirm know they're the best. So yeah, they gave us our first greenhouse, and they included the sprinkler system and pumps, and then we were ready to go. Yeah, and then like 6 months later, the thieves came and they stole our pump and they broke in, and you know. Yeah, so, and then it was in 2019, or 2018, I applied for funding with agriculture, and the funding was approved. So 2019, we got the shade house done, and we got a fence put around, and we did a whole lot of modifications at stands inside the tunnels and the shade house, and that was the boost that we needed. So now we are just planning on increasing our production capacity and reaching that retail nurseries and reaching those farmers for 50,000, 60,000 seedlings, and reaching our impact goals of impacting 10,000 communities in the next 10 years. So yeah, when I started off, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. You know, these what they call it, these jargon, this business jargon of social impact and entrepreneurship and all these fancy jargon, I didn't understand at the time, and I knew I needed the knowledge. So after you start, I was accepted as a Red Bull in the Red Bull Academy. I'm a PICO Academy, so that I can get the necessary business knowledge. And that was an 18-month program, and I got mentorship and entrepreneurship knowledge along the way. And then I've entered quite a couple of programs to kind of expand what I'm doing, because, you know, these programs, there's always a prize money attached, which is cool. So, you know, with the prize money, you can do something. Yeah, but I've learned a lot. I mean, if it wasn't for this, then opportunities like this took me on a plane ride for the first time. It took me to France. It took me to South Korea. This girl from Hanover Park went places. She's going places. So yeah, you know, don't stay in your bubble. Go out, ask questions. There's lots of info online. There's lots of free programs online. All these programs that I did was free. I didn't pay a cent for it. I got flown to Joburg, I got flown to Durban, I got flown to France, and I didn't pay a cent for it. So, yeah, you know, it is possible. Yeah, and then COVID hit, and COVID hit hard, and we were all brought to abrupt halt, and we didn't know what to do. So I've partnered with African Artists for Development before. It's an organization called AAD. And we did great work together. And I told them about the situation in South Africa, and we were about to go into level 5. And I told them the president said all businesses and everything's going to come to a halt. And also just before COVID, like a few days before time, I was actually moving the seedlings from the nursery to my home, because I knew I couldn't leave the stock and everything there, because just in case the thieves might come. So it took us a couple of days to move everything, and then I had seedlings everywhere. Yeah, so I told them COVID was about to hit. And yeah, I told them about the situation. You know, as we went through level 5, you know, households not having food, people going hungry, and the situations we were in, and the hardships that households were facing, and the unemployment. And then they started a project called Resistance 2020, where they teamed up with 3 organizations in 3 African countries. And we were all running programs that was kind of combating the impact of COVID within our communities. And in South Africa, it's called the Growbox Urban Markets Farmer. The Growbox, Urban Farmers Market, and the first phase was starting an urban farm within Hanover Park. So right next to the nursery structure, there's a farm over there. and it took a while for us to clear the land and everything, but then we got the community involved and we let them actually plant the first seedlings for this farm. So the first phase being the farm area and the second phase being the market area. We'll be inviting the community to come and we'll be having a market there for them to sell their goods. Hopefully it will be an economic opportunity where households can sell their homemade goods or their artistic goods or their home-baked goods, so that there will be some type of employment and economic development after the whole COVID fiasco, and maybe it will even create community cohesion within Hanover Park, especially now with all these shootings going on. All right, so plans for the future. We're working on a flat pack range to have our boxes flat packed, and so that we can have them sent worldwide, because I get calls on a weekly basis, people calling me, do you deliver in Joburg? Do you deliver in Durban? Are you available? Can we take the Growbox model into Mozambique and so on? So yeah, we're busy working on that, and also expanding the Growbox range to have franchises in the Eastern Cape, up in Gauteng, and having our seedlings nationally and even internationally to the neighboring countries. So in a nutshell, that is me, that's my company Growbox, and that is what we do. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Do I have to answer your question?
Yes, please. Yeah, Renshia, thank you very much. Very inspiring from you and from Chris and his team. Any questions from the floor? Anyone that wants to ask a question for either to Renshia or to Chris? While you are thinking, I just want to comment. We are live and online at the moment. We've been since this morning. Gwen Foster says, these are wonderful educational sessions. Are the recordings available for replay in rural communities and libraries or via e-learning platforms? Yes, Gwen, I can confirm that it is on our website on www.agriexpo.co.za, also on livestock.org.za, and we will also give it to the Western Cape Department of Agriculture so that Elsenburg can also distribute these sessions. We will cut it up into each speaker session, and then we will also run it on social media for everyone to share. So we will definitely do that. Any question for Renshia? Okay, we've got a question there. Claudine?
Oh, thanks, Renshia. Yo, I don't know if I want to be you or I want to be Chris, because, yeah, I don't know what to say, but I need to say something. Do you, perhaps by invitation, come and give some motivational talk specifically on what you do?
Sure. If you invite me, I'll be there. It's not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to.
Renshia, thank you very, very much. I think we can give a nice round of applause. Baie geluk. Thank you very much, Renshia. Sorry, there's your notes. Okay, so we're going to move on to Mr. Jerry Aries. Just want to get your PowerPoint open, Jerry. There we are. I'm going to invite Mr. Jerry Aries now. Mr. Aries is the Chief Director for Farmer Support and Development at the Western Cape Department of Agriculture. And I'm not going to read his CV now, but he's had a long journey within agriculture. Comes from an area in Oudtshoorn, then went to Krommereer, and at one stage he was the farm manager there. And also when Elsenburg started, he played a huge role with this new Department of Agriculture. And Jerry, we look forward to listening to you.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take off my mask. Let me just get everything ready here. Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. As indicated, my name is Jerry Aries, and on a Friday I don't have a lot of English left, but let's see. Colleagues, I must say and acknowledge that I don't know the audience, and I'm not quite sure what exactly you want to hear from me. But normally, you know, when somebody's talking from the department and from a specific program, is normally showing you only one piece of the puzzle. And I don't think it's always good to do that, so I will try and tell you also what is happening in the other programs within the department. And after that, at least I can delegate upwards now. Minister will summarize everything that's happening in the department. Colleagues, let me just find out the electronics here and to see how it's going to work. This is just the outline. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I'm just going to show you quickly something about the department. I'm working for the program Farmer Support and Development. I'm going to tell you something about the commodity approach, something about market access. I'm going to show you one slide about agri-processing. I think there's something about training, and then quickly I will just do a short conclusion. I don't even think there's a slide about it, but I was listening to Renshia now and Uncle Chris. So there's things that I'm not going to spend time on because they also already highlighted a lot of things. But Renshia, I must just say this one. The way you're going now, very soon you will be automatic. She's manual now. So, colleagues, so yeah, thank you, Uncle Chris. Very interesting project. I will hopefully come and visit you as well at the States. I'm coming from the rural area, so I don't know even where I'm in now. I'm now in what, Grassy Park? I don't know that. I don't know Levendale or where you're coming from. So I know a park and so forth. So colleagues, I will come and visit you. Colleagues, this is just to show you a picture of Elsenburg. We're talking about the Department of Agriculture or Elsenburg, and nobody knows where it is. This is between Stellenbosch and Klapmuts. The red roofs, you will see that is the college, more than 100 years old, and more than 400 students on a daily basis on the premises, studying three types of degrees there. The one on top is that's the head office of the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, the main building. And my office is somewhere up there, and I'm just sitting around there and spending taxpayers' money and doing nothing. So, but you are more than welcome even to bring a visit to the department. It's on a research farm as well, but we can tell you when you are coming to us more about the research farm. Colleagues, I said I'm not going to show you only one piece of the puzzle. There's about 8 programs on your far left. You will see, if you count it up, you will see it's 8 programs. Administration, there's always a program like that, but I'm working for the program Farmer Support and Development, the one in red. Then there's agricultural economics. Hopefully I will tell you just one thing more at market access. Research, technology and development, everything should be based on research. There's a special program on research, and I think we've got 7 research farms across the province, and they're all up and running. Then there's sustainable resource management, the engineers looking after buildings and structures and rivers and all those kind of things, soil. Then veterinary services, food safety, critical. I will say 1 or 2 things more about it. Then obviously structured agricultural and training, that's the college and all the short courses and longer term courses like 1 or 2 or 3 year degrees that they're getting there. And then the only program in the country that's got a program like rural development coordination, looking after our farm workers and all their challenges on farms or where they are. Then we are not in the island. These ones on the far right, you will see that is all our clients that we engage in through years, over long-term, periods. Even organized agriculture, universities, municipalities, you name it, we are talking to them. I'm just going to show you quickly something about my own program that I'm working in, and that is Farmer Support and Development. And yes, everybody wants to know, is there money? Yes, there's more than enough money. Don't worry, so you can relax now. Because people, that's the only question. And how can I apply? Yes, you can apply, but I will tell you now. Colleagues, I'm going to start right on the bottom, right at the top left, CASP, C-A-S-P, Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program. Let me say it again. Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program. CASP, that's the name of the grant that we are getting from a national level. And I must talk about what's it now, successful programs within the department. Now this one, you will see is very successful. Listen to this figure. We are getting about 110 million rand per year. Now, if you don't have money in the bank, that's a lot of money. The amount of applications coming, listen carefully to this one, from only black farmers. Did you hear that one? Only black farmers, meaning that only black farmers competing against one another to access that funding. The total amount per year for the 110 million is around about 600 million. Did you hear that? We are getting 110 million per year. The amount of applications coming in for that 110 million adds up to about 600 million. Who do you give money to, and which ones do you decline? You must help me with that one if you have the answer. Because never in my life, and I'm not that old, but the past 20 years, nobody came back to say to me, you've helped the right farmer. This one was the one that you should have helped. Even at you sitting here, look at the one next to you, that person. That's the wrong farmer. Everybody believes that. Even if I give all of you funding from that money, 99.9% will come back and say, you've helped the wrong farmer. So that's how it goes. We try our best to be fair, but I don't have the answer. If the demand is so huge, how do you help everyone in time? That's a challenge. Colleagues, but the reason for the grant is we want to grow farmers over time. And that's why you start off with subsistence farmers, the first block there. Subsistence, you heard a lot of it this morning. We start on a small piece, either at backyard, on school grounds, on municipal land. If you start there, the idea is, and you prove yourself, you can grow to the next one, to a smallholder farmer. If you are successful there, hopefully, through our land reform programs, you will get eventually to a commercial farmer. That is the idea on paper. In real life, unfortunately, we're sitting with a lot of challenges. And you will tell me more than I know. Access to land, access to water, all those kind of things are the biggest challenges that we're sitting with. And then I said it's a comprehensive agricultural support program. It is not only for inputs. If you look at the bottom, you will see Mafisa. That is a loan scheme coming up soon, blended finance scheme that will be in this grant. There's money for training. 10% of the budget must go to training. 10% of the budget must go to marketing or market access or market opportunities, and the rest must go to infrastructure on farm, whether it's an irrigation system, whether it's a steel container, whether it's spades and forks and those kind of things, whether it's tractors, that must come out of the grant. So that is the funding that we are going to, that we are getting. Colleagues, you can apply for this funding from on a straight line, actually from 1st of March, 1st of April, till normally we close down end of June. And believe me, I can tell you now, and I'm telling you now, you can start applying from the 1st of April till the end of June. Guess what is going to happen? Everybody is going to submit an incomplete application the 30th of June. And then everybody will come back, why is my application not approved? I don't know why people are doing that. If I can get money for free, a grant means free money. I will work through the night, tomorrow night, to start preparing my application for 1st of April next year. But why people are leaving that till the last day when they must submit and it's incomplete, I don't know. Not even a signature on it. Then a government official must make sense of that. Colleagues, just quickly, I'm not going to talk much about it. I see that Renshia was one of our recipients of the grant. She can tell you about it. That's where she started. She applied for the household garden support. And just in quick, it's where you can start on your backyard. You can apply for it. Then persons on the indigent register, I think it's with municipalities. Normally the poorest of the poor, if you're on that list, you will get priority. Then we say you must undergo training. And that's also the last thing that people are normally asking for. I'm talking on a straight line. More your smallholder and commercial farmers. You must come for training. Then you will get, and the trainings around financial record keeping, conflict management, entrepreneurial skills. She said it all. And then at least, colleagues, I said that fourth bullet there, current agricultural activity present. But for this household gardens, at least if you have a garden, your few flowers there and what, we know there's some sense of you taking responsibility for what is happening in your yard. But if there's nothing, over the years, you didn't try anything, what are the chances you're going to make success of this intervention? I'm just asking. So we prioritize those people where there's at least something going on. My own test is normally I say, I look whether you close your gate and whether you cut your grass. Then I at least know you're looking after what is happening in your yard. We call it a suitcase. Suitcase is just, you know, the idea was if you open it, you will have a fork and some compost and some seedlings. And what else? Let's say fertilizer. I know people are farming organically, but that's more or less what's coming out of that suitcase. I'm not going to stand long. The one was the home gardens. This one's a little bit bigger. Community and school gardens where you got bigger land. And there we say, we will give you not the money, but the value of the money up to 170,000. And obviously, we will look at that there's at least a lease arrangement. Now, the lease arrangement is to protect yourself against either the school or the Department of Health or whoever it is, that they don't kick you off after 6 months. And then we've invested in the well point and irrigation system and a steel container and what else. And now they say, no, we don't want you here anymore. So that one, the lease arrangement is just for yourself. We're trying to get people off municipal water. It's just too expensive. And you know, we were coming out of a drought 2 years ago. So we're looking at water harvesting where we put up tanks and see if you can catch the rainwater. I said training is compulsory. It's not long, it's half a day or a day. And then obviously if it's a garden at the school that we would like to see, normally there's poor parents whose kids are at that school, that those poor parents get the opportunity to produce food for themselves on that piece of land at the school. This is just some, project where we see how far we can get with water. The green one there on the end is a solar pump. The water is draining down this green one, and the bottom, they just recycle the water again. This one where you can put in recycled water, the one with the blue tank, and the others was, I think that project was in Bravater. No, there's not a lot of water. So we try our best across the province to see if people can start producing vegetables wherever they get a piece of land. Closer to my program, Extension and Advisory Services. Now this is, if you ask me whether it's successful, I don't know, you be the judge, but this is where we advise farmers. Now colleagues, this one, what is it all about? We are advising farmers, it's all about perceptions. The perception of how big is your land, the perception of how much do you know about agriculture itself, the perception of how much money you're going to get from the government, the perception of what is the market going to give you, all those kind of things. And what is this thing is actually saying we're looking at the same thing and we see different things in there. So we're always dealing in this program with the perception, and we're trying to change the thinking of farmers. There's still farmers that believe that what the OPA was doing was the correct thing. It's 30, 40, 50 years later. That may be irrelevant totally, and there's a lot of technology coming in, and that is what we're trying to do. But the next slide, what we call the developmental triangle, colleagues, this is the crux of business, I would say. There's always, we want to give extension to farmers. We always like to give training, and there's always research and marketing involved. You work always from the market backwards. Now that's the triangle that we dealing on a daily basis. But what is critical in this one, the critical part is the yellow one there. Did you see that's the farmers? If the farmers are not taking control of what advice do they want, what training do they want, what research do they want, if you're not telling us that, what do you think will happen? We will tell you what we think you want. And that's a disaster. But what COVID-19 has taught us, have learned us, is how unorganized our smallholder farmers are. We were trying to get, where's the chairperson of this group of farmers in Philippi, for example? There's no chairperson, there's no farmers association, there's nothing. And I'm just using that as an example. So my plea is, if you call yourself farmers, whether it's now household farmers or farmers on schoolyards, just get organized. That we have one voice, we have one structure that we can talk to. You will help us a lot, and we can help you a lot. So the farmers must take control of that 3 pillars if you want to if you are serious. This is just the one. And I'm saying we're dealing with grant funding here. Normally, you will find this farm and this picture was taken in Wuppertal, and the other one with the rest. Now, what are they saying? When this farmer applies for a little bit of a better wagon and stuff, we will tell him, no, you want that thing on the far left. You need a big tractor. You know? Now, what is this thing saying? We can do that. Within 6 months to a year and a half, that's possible. It's not impossible. With our grant funding, you're happy. The challenge is that we actually must look at what we want is to grow our farmers from where they are. They didn't have all the expertise, they don't have all the knowledge, they don't have all the skills, till where they are entrepreneurs, business people. That is our dream and our challenge. And how long do you think is that going to take? That is not the easy one. You know why I said the perception, you must change that. That can take a generation or 2 even, to get people from where they are till where they are here at the bottom, where they hardcore business people. And that is what the change that we would like to see. And that's where our efforts must go in. And those things are taking time. As I said, that 1 year, 1.5 years, you can be the owner of a tractor. But when will you be a person that can negotiate contracts overseas for yourself, for your business to take off? So that is our people. Then this one, grant, free money. You know, we are investing we're investing a lot of money in farmers. Some is taking off. You help them once, they're gone. The other half, it doesn't matter how much you invest in them, they just stay where they are. And my question is the jockey that's wrong, the person? Is it the horse, the farm, or is it both? You be the judge. My question is always, and you must help me with this answer, when is enough support for a farmer? When can we walk away from you? And I said, there's normally a question that the farmer can't tell me, can't tell us, because a grant is a strange thing. The moment you start using it in your business, you can't do very soon without it. And we as a country can't afford to run your business, or is it your hobby? And then if it's your hobby, then the question is, why must the taxpayer support your hobby? That's the question. So at the stage, we are going to, these grants we're going to phase out, and if you're not serious to have a loan component to your financing, on which road are you? And I'm not saying you must have a loan that you can't repay. It's just the principle of business. Colleagues, just quickly, what are we doing? I'm saying we are supporting our farmers through commodities. Now, commodities, quickly, there's about 10 or 11 of them: fruit, wine, grain, sheep, ostriches, vegetables, aquaculture. There's commodity organizations out there from the industry, from the agricultural sector, and they are helping us supporting farmers. So you apply for vegetables, we'll say you apply through the vegetable commodity. There's a few experts sitting there from the industry, and they will guide you to say whether you have a profitable business or application or not. So, and this is one is critical to the department, and we are one of the few departments that are following the commodity approach, where we get the private sector to support us, and these commodities are doing an excellent job in the province to our farmers. I actually want to say without, we will not survive out there. So commodity approach is critical, and they're helping us with a lot of things. Mentorship, I heard the word mentorship, I think, from Renshia. Access to markets. They will not approve a project, that committee where we are sitting on. By the way, they are chairing that committee, the commodities, if there's no access to markets. They will first see that there's access to markets. They will share research results that's coming out of research, training and capacity, critical that they're helping us with. As I said, they focus on extension. And this partnerships are critical. I've just got a few names there. Hort Groves, the Fruit Industry, Winpro Wine, Sati Table Grapes, Grain. There's 11 of them in the province. This is just one of our farmers' days in central Karoo, Beaufort West, where they're bringing the different breeds. They're telling us what is the pros and cons of each and every one at no cost to us, at no cost to the farmers. They must just come and they will tell you exactly what is the best breed for your specific farm. Market access, that's one of the programs in the department, and they're helping us with the compliance support, SA gap. If you're producing food, whether it's vegetables or meat and animals, colleagues, this one is going to get very critical. Food safety. You must make a note of it. It's critical. And you will have to comply going forward. So they are helping us as a program within department with SA gap compliance, ethical trade. What are you doing in terms of animals, in terms of dealing with what is happening on your farm, how do you handle your workers, all those kind of things critical. HACCP compliant capacity building, that's normal training. And they're even taking you on market exposure excursions. You heard about Renshia traveling all over the world. They help you to negotiate off-take agreements, and then also taking you to exhibitions. We always invite farmers to exhibitions. Then there's we've identified 50 commercial farmers, black farmers in the province, where we help them to at least be compliant in terms of SA gap. I'm not going to focus on this one. This was last year, where we even take people to China for farmers. We take them to Fruit Logistica, I think it's in Germany, Minister. So they are going all over the world, and we've also got a lot of partners that are helping us to get our farmers market ready. Because if there's no market, there's no business, you are not making money. Colleagues, this is just to show you, that's overseas pictures of our farmers. Then training and capacity building. This is just to say this part and parcel of our work, whether it's credit bearing, or non-accredited, it depends, and even mentorship alignment, that is part of our work. Then this next one is the agri-processing hub. What does it mean? Value adding of a specific product. We've got a new hub at the college there at Hartzenberg, and there they can do fruit juice processing. They're training people on this. Essential oil distillation, they can show you how to do it. There's bakery courses, there's food safety, critical. And even post-harvest handling and nutrition. And then they can show you, you can come for a course for cheese making, for yogurt making, and for butter making. That's all happening there at our main building. Just a few words on land reform, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but just to say we are striving for a 70% success rate of all our land reform farms in the province. And obviously with the commodities, the trainings, market access, the vets, the researchers, all those people working together to see that we at least get a 70% success rate of land reform in the province. So we are working hard, but you will see it's also not 100%. Somehow along the line, people will find out, but shoo, I thought agriculture is easy, but it's not that easy. That sometimes it's hard work every day of the week to be successful. And just to say what we have established, what we call a LRE desk, Land Reform Advisory Desk. If you want to go into land reform and you want to have a business partner and you're not quite sure where all the funding is going to come from, there is a person sitting at in PAL, and he can help you structure and get the right people around the table for your specific business. What we also have established in terms of support to land reform people is the UTA, Unit for Technical Assistance, and that is more if there's business plans, somebody must go in and do a calculation on what will a greenhouse cost with solar panels and all this. We can source that kind of technical expertise for your project to support you. And just in conclusion, I'm 4 minutes late, Chair, my apology. It's just to say that the commodity approach is the basis for our success. The people from the private sector, we applaud them. And only if we transfer cutting-edge technology to farmers that will keep them in business. That's from the extension side. And then obviously, can you still remember that triangle that I showed you, the linkages between training, extension, research, and market access? They are critical, but you must tell us what you want. If you don't do that, we will tell you everything that you don't want. So please take control of your own destiny. And then I put in the last point there. We must be careful not to raise our farmers in a zoo. What does it mean? With this grant funding, I said it at the stage somewhere, grant funding is addicted. Dat wordt verslaafd. It's verslavend later daaraan. Meaning that, what does it mean to be raised in a zoo? We can't open the gates. You can't go out there and go and look and help yourself and look for food. Be careful for that one. I've seen farmers that was not supported up until now. What did they do for themselves? The moment we start supporting them with grant funding, they can't close their own gate. They can't fix the windmill anymore. They are not prepared to take a spade because that spade was a government spade. That windmill is government windmill. You must come and fix it. That tractor that belongs to him now is not his tractor. It's a government tractor. Government must come and fix it. And. So my plea is be careful for grants. It will put you in the wrong phase of mind. I'm not saying you don't need it. But be careful if you think that's the income and it's not agri all pay. With that few words, colleagues, I want to thank you.
Mr. Aries, thank you very much. I've just want to handle one online question here. This is from Nkasha Temba asking, are there people applying more than once for CASP funding, firstly? And then secondly, what are the province doing about managing larger number of farmers applying for CASP than the available budget? So maybe you can answer it on this side while I get Minister's slides ready.
Thank you. If I can still remember now, the first question is, can they apply more than once? Obviously, yes. And now you must understand me. We are getting our funding on a yearly basis. So I can't commit what I don't have. So for this year, I get 110 million. That's for an example. I can't commit next year's 110 million already this year because I don't know whether I'm going to get it. So the farmer must apply every year and we will evaluate it. Normally we have a good sense of what was his initial application about. He's now at a very small level and he wants to grow to a commercial level. We will support him for 1 or 2 years, but obviously halfway down the line we will also make plans so they can get other funding into the system. The amount of grants is just too small for the whole agricultural sector in the problem. I'm just talking the black agricultural sector. That's the one. And the other one is whether there's more than one application, how do we handle it? We can just decline. If we don't have money that we can commit, we decline. It's not, I'm saying that's not a strange answer. Government can't be the only funder of projects going forward. There's other funding as well. Don't put your only hope only on government funding. It's a risk for your business.
Mr. Aries, thank you very much. I think we can give Mr. Aries a round of applause. And then I would like to welcome Dr. Ivan Meyer, the Minister of Agriculture, to end off the SIYABONGA Day for us. Mr. Aries will still be available during lunchtime, so if there's any questions for him, please feel free to do so. Baie dankie, Dr. Meyer.
Firstly, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm very happy that I came here. I learned quite a lot of things, but the first thing I want to do, I want to thank the SPCA in Grassy Park for this great facility and the hospitality, and I'm very happy that we were able to come here today. I'd also like to thank the Agri-Expo, Mr. Johan Illis, as well as Breyton Milford, because they are very important partners of the Western Cape Department of Agriculture. we achieved quite a lot by working with them. I'm really inspired by Chris and his team. Great work, great presentation. I'm so excited about Belhar because that's where I spend most of my life. I was Chris. My first job was in Belhar as the chairperson of Little Sparrows Educare Center, and I'm so inspired by the stuff that you and your wife and your team are doing in Belhar. Great work. But I'm also truly inspired by Renshia Manuel, because she is a leader, she's a woman, she's in business, and as a Minister of Agriculture, I want her to become rich. That's my mission. People like her must become rich. Women must stop working here at die ou gesê hier die klein purse uit. Moet die groot purse uit werk. And I think she's on her way to that space. Because when we talk about economic recovery, we mean business, and we need to grow, and we need to grow fast. I'm going to speak, when I became the Minister of Agriculture, I set myself 5 strategic priorities. The first one, and Derry has also alluded to this, for me very important, is what I call structured education, training and research. And I'm very happy because one of the things that I've seen both in Chris and in Renshia's presentation is the appreciation, and Jerry, for education, training and research. Agriculture is a science. A science needs research. We don't wake up here in the Western Cape and decide we're going to plant this. We don't operate like that. We think. This Western Cape is a thinking machine. The Department of Agriculture is a thinking machine. I don't know what other provinces do, but we think. So, and the thinking tools are largely captured in research. We don't wake up and say, let's plant blueberries. There's a market. No. We say, there are people that suggest that we must grow blueberries. We say that is now a problem statement. It is hypothesis. Let's conduct scientific research and find out where that is a need. And in this case, there was a need, confirmed by our research, and we then piloted it. We planted it in certain spaces. We invested money into it, and now we globally export from our farmers from the Western Cape all over the world. I tasted it this year in February in Berlin, in Germany, from this place, Western Cape. But it was done through research, inputs from the farmers, put into the research, tested and piloted and funded, and then market access, as Jerry has indicated. And so for us, training and research are very important. But I want to see more structured training here in the Western Cape. Secondly, also climate change for us is important, farmer support is important, market access, and rural safety. These are the 5 ministerial priorities. This is where I spend my life every day in the job. And so for these are things that are for me very important. When we talk about structured education and training and research, that is exactly what I want to see. I want to see more agricultural schools. Not only in the Western Cape, but all over South Africa. And for me this is important because people that comes from agriculture, you can hear Renshia's language. That's not a language of people that will use a tire to burn a school. That's a person that will use a tire to grow vegetables. It's a builder, not a breaker. And so I just came now from a school, Jan Kriel, for a person with special needs in Kuils River. Children with special needs, they have introduced subjects in agriculture, and you see a different man or a woman there. We saw a young lady, grade 10, she's going to be, or grade 12, she's going to be in charge of the workshop where they do some welding next year. She's going to be the leader at that school. Now this is what agriculture does. It builds a better quality citizen for South Africa. And if you see what's happening in South Africa right now, you want better quality citizens. And I believe agriculture does exactly that. That's why I'm in agriculture. You are in agriculture to plant. I'm in agriculture. I'm a politician. I want better quality citizens. I want civic responsibility. And I think agriculture schools are exactly what we need in this country, and I'm so happy because my vision is more agricultural schools. And I had a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, Education. We are on this business. So what you currently see is that we are now going to roll out. Next week I'm going to visit the Augsburg Agricultural College, which Milford also knows about, in Glen William. We have an agricultural school here in Boland, in Paarl, and the Oakdale Agricultural School in Riversdale. But we need more. You can't be responsible for 45% of South Africa's agricultural exports as a province, and you only have 3 schools. There's a mismatch. But we're going to fix it. We're going to build school. And I want to thank the farmers in Bonneville, that area, that assisted us to build a world-class agricultural school with their own money, with their own resources, on their own farm, and we are paying the teachers. And what they have told us now happening at that school is children are looking different. They walk straight up. Teenage pregnancy has declined significantly. Violence and crime in the community from the reports of the police has significantly reduced because children have now dignity, self-respect. That's what agriculture does. And that's why I think we must invest more in agricultural schools. Next time when I travel abroad, I'm going to ask the Germans, wir brauchen Geld. Ich bin der Landwirtschaftsminister. We want to build more agricultural schools. That's my mission, that's what I sleep, that's what I dream all day long. There are many farmers that are retiring, and we want them also to assist us in some of these schools. And so for us, research is very important. We still do excellent world-class research, and we're also getting about 10 million rand every year from the agricultural sector outside our department. In other words, not taxpayers' money, people that believe that we do the right research, and the research is problem statement comes from the industry, so we research what the industry wants so that it is relevant for the industry, so that we plant the right stuff and people make money. So we do research so that you can make money. We don't do research to feel important. We do research so that you can make money and become rich. The second priority for me, given what is happening in South Africa, is the whole issue of rural safety. And so I want to facilitate a safe and protected, secure agricultural environment for the farming communities. And as we've seen in South Africa, many farmers are being killed, many farm workers are being attacked and killed. And so what we are now doing is to support our farming watchers and neighborhood watchers in the rural areas in particular to combat crime in farms in the rural areas. I know of no other country where farmers are being killed like this. Recently, about 20 black farmers have been killed in KZN, and nobody speaks about it. We don't even know about it, not even in the newspaper. It is a sad day. And so what we have now done with my colleague, the Minister of Community Development, is to go to communities and say, establish a farm watch, apply for accreditation, apply for funding, and we will support you. There you can see me on the bakkie. We went there to the Redlinghuis Farm Watch. They're doing outstanding work in the community. They've also connected with the NAVIC system, which is the National Traffic Information Cloud. So if you come into that area, they will already in that system there, in that place on the bottom, that's the control room, they can see through the advanced number plate recognition system and the NAVIC system, this car with this number plate has been involved in some farm criminal activity somewhere else. So when you enter the space, they will immediately pick it up. They will dispatch it to the South African police. They will be picked up through the traffic cops, and the neighborhood watch will get the guy there in charge will get a message on the cell phone, so they will immediately follow and track your car. What are you doing in the town, and who you're talking to in the town, and watch you closely. And if you start to do anything that is not nice, certainly you will be arrested before the attack happens. I don't want to hear the farmer has been killed. I want to know what technology is available to stop farm attacks. But if a farmer is attacked in the Western Cape, I will be personally in court and I will make sure that we oppose bail. I've done that in the past, and I will continue to do so. And the farm murder that we have seen also in the Cape Winelands that happened some time ago, we put a watching brief on those farm attacks, and through the watching briefs, we've been very successful through the criminal justice system where those people were caught, and one is now serving a double life sentence and additional 58 years in prison. And as we often say here in the Western Cape, jou gat gaan nie weer son sien nie. So we take rural safety very seriously because the economy of the Western Cape is significant. It is 11% of the economy of the Western Cape. It's 17% of the total labor force. It's now about 64.4 billion rand agricultural value production. You're not attacking people. You're attacking the economy of the Western Cape. And you attack the dignity of the farmers. And so far as this is important. In fact, soon, later this month, I will launch a rural safety desk in my department because I believe farmers must have access to us. I'm not going to say I'm not the police. I'm not going to say I'm not the Minister of Community Safety. When farmers are attacked, I have no job. So I better do my job and protect my job by protecting farmers. And I will certainly do that. And what I like of this farm watch here, they also do some other things. They assist us with disaster management. They assist us with, they ask us to support them with training for first aid. So it's not only purely catching criminals, it's really building civil societies and supporting the government in terms of doing their work. And I want to partner more with them, and I want to give them more support, and I want to give them more funding. That's what I want to do. The next priority for me is market access, because the provincial agriculture, if we increase our market access over the next 5 years with 5%, then we can certainly create 19,000 new jobs from the current 68.2 billion to 71.6 billion. This for us is important because we need to get foreign exchange, but also we need to grow our economy, create jobs. If we have 5% increase in market access over 5 years, directly into agriculture in the Western Cape alone, it translates into 90,000 new jobs. So the photo there that you see for us is also important because we want to grow our international footprint. For us, market access, earlier this year, I led a delegation to the Netherlands and to Rotterdam Harbour, the biggest harbour in the world, the busiest harbour. And I also led the delegation to Berlin, which is the biggest fruit expo in the world. And it is important to be there because there where you meet the buyers and the people that have interest and to show confidence. Because in all the news that goes out of South Africa are negative. So you need to be there where the buyers are to persuade them that this is the right place, this is the right province. But you can't do that as a minister. You must take farmers with so that they have confidence in the farmers speaking there. And that's exactly what we've been doing, and we will certainly do this. So market access for us is important, particularly also now in the Middle East, because the people are fighting and they want halal food. So we don't want people to fight, but while they're fighting, hulle soek halal kos. Ons sal vir jou halal vleis gee. So the people from Qatar, they came here last year, or was it earlier this year? Can't remember. COVID makes alles die mekaar. So they came here to us from Qatar, the state veterinary services. So we took them to the EU certified halal abattoirs here in the Western Cape. They looked at our abattoirs, they were happy with our abattoirs, and they want to import our red meat here, and obviously the other type of meat here from the Western Cape. So market access was important. Daniel and I also last year went to visit Indonesia, very important. Indonesia has 260 million people. Now, Ms. Manuel, if you have 260 million people, you must know they want to eat. And it's a Muslim country. The Western Cape is the biggest Muslim population. So it makes absolutely sense to connect with Indonesia. And so for us it is important, but Bali is not, it's not the Muslim part. And so we're organizing now, planning to have a cheese and wine festival in Bali, to take our farmers with their cheese and their wine to have a festival there. It's very important that you access it. We also want to be in China, but remember it takes sometimes quite a long time to enter the Chinese market. For our fruit, sometimes up to 16 years. Now I'm not going to be in the job for 16 years. I'm not going to make that long-term promises. But we must target China and India. Why? 1.4 billion in China, 1.3 billion in India. And you have seen how they eat. But I want our wine, particularly in the Chinese market, because if one of the Chinese can only drink one glass of red wine every night, none of us have to work. Currently, before COVID-19, we sold 1 million bottles of wine per day around the world as South Africa. And certainly, when they put a ban on the sale of alcohol, it was the wrong decision. Because that meant that there were orders, people have ordered the wine, and then the wine was not able to be exported. Now, when you buy wine from abroad, you put an order, and if your order is not delivered, there's a trust deficit. They don't want to hear about your stupid government regulations. They say you have not delivered on your promise to deliver the wine. So what do? They look for alternative markets. So your space in the supermarket, that space where your wine is sold, is no more there. I went to visit those supermarkets, and every supermarket that I went in there in the Netherlands and in Germany, I looked for South African wine. I'm not going to see that wine when I go there next year. Because what people do in international business, market access, they look for other people that deliver when they order. That don't have stupid government regulations. So Chile, Argentina, California, France, Burgundy, Italy, Germany, Australia, those people are aggressive. While we sit here and thinking about this wine, shall we not? These people have people in those countries that speak the local language in the supermarkets every day, walking there. And we make stupid regulations. But we also know that on the African continent, here from the Western Cape, we are now exporting more our products, generally from the Western Cape on the African continent. So with the Free Africa Trade Agreement, so we want to target that more. We also export 50% of all South Africa's agricultural products goes on the African continent. So Africa, I think that's the place to be. That's the place to also target that market. Farmer support, I think Jerry has spoken extensively to that, but now for us, we have seen during COVID-19, we need a revolution. We need the revolution of home community garden. Here is a lady on the bottom, Natasha Johannes from Mitchell's Plain. That was a dumping site. She lived there, and next to her house is a dumping site. Now, normally what people do in Cape Town, they phone the councillor or they phone the municipality and say the people have dumped here. But that is a phone call that you make every time at your own cost, and it's always wam kile, hang aan, and your airtime is up. So you can now moan for 20 years and phone the councillor, and it's just wam kile, and daar gaat niks aan nie. So she decided no. She had colon cancer, and the doctor told her, you're going to live only 2 months. And she decided, let me change my diet, change my nutrition, get more energy, turn the dumping site into a vegetable garden. Very productive in Mitchell's Plain. She's an ambassador of home community gardens. So what we want to see is home community gardens rolled out. We've done already about 1,400, and Jerry has been outstanding, his unit, doing this great work. So we have 3 systems. We have a basic system, and then we have an intermediate system and a much more advanced system that you can see also there on top. So we want to see a really revolution amongst people, because all of us and our parents, this is what they did. I mean, I still have my childhood dream of chicken in my yard. But now I live with neighbors that say, nee, kan nie slaap by jou hoenders maak 'n ras. But I'm going to retire at a place where there won't be such noise pollution. And so farmer support is also critical for us, and we will continue to support our farmers because they play a critical role. And this is both commercial farmers and small-scale farmers, both black and white farmers. Because from a farmer perspective, we have about 20% of commercial farmers in South Africa you find in the Western Cape. And they are critically equally important. The next priority for me is the whole issue of climate change, because we have seen the drought in the past 5 years had devastating effect on Western Cape farms, particularly in the West Coast, there in the Vredendal area, Matsikama area, as Rietpoort, Bitterfontein, those areas, as well as large parts of the Garden, particularly in Kannaland area, and also in the Central Karoo, Laingsburg, Maritzburg, Merweville, and Liugamka, and those places, Beaufort West in particular. I went on a drought tour. I saw farmers. I saw dead animals. It is painful. The drought is severe. So we've also launched a strategy for climate change. We've also have a radio talk, the Kwiksteig. We also have established a drought portal. All this information is available on the Western Cape government website through the elsenburg.com. And so for us, we have recently also now, about 2 weeks ago, won the Gold Award in the category Climate Change for the top-rated radio series, the Kwiksteig, at the virtual 2020 Ecological Award ceremony. Dr. Ilse Troutman and her team doing really outstanding, world-class work. And part of climate change mitigation is to employ microsatellites to communicate to the farmers how much water they need for irrigation for different types of commodities. So we believe that economic growth originating in agriculture can have a very particularly strong impact in reducing poverty and hunger. And I want to conclude with this. We have seen now in 2020, in the first and the second quarter GDP figures that came out from Stats SA. All the sectors of the South African economy had negative economic growth. The only sector that had positive economic growth is the agricultural sector. In the first quarter, it was 20% GDP growth. In the second quarter, it was 15%. So agriculture is going to lead the economic recovery here in the Western Cape. And soon I will appear before the Minister of Finance to argue for the case that if you're serious about economic recovery, give more money to agriculture. There's the evidence, because we've now developed a system called evidence-based decision-making. So when you want more money, so was the evidence. We now have the evidence that agriculture is the leading sector here in the Western Cape. But I also want to establish an agriculture school, skills school of excellence, a world-class agriculture center using the best technology available around the world. I want the United Nations, the UNDP, as well as the World Agricultural Food Organization and the World Bank to say this is where we want to invest money to train the best agriculture people on the African continent. Elsenburg, by the way, is the oldest agricultural college on the African continent, dating back from 1899, the world-class agricultural college. I'm now interested in building a world-class agricultural digital platform at Elsenburg, because we are now not only interested anymore in South Africa, we're interested in the African continent, and there is 1 billion people, and hulle is almal honger. We must feed them. We must feed them through agriculture. So colleagues, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited about agriculture. I'm inspired by Chris. I'm inspired by Miss Manuel, and I heard she's soon going to be automatic. Thank you.
Minister, thank you very much. Inspiring words there from Minister Ivan Meyer. At this stage, I just want to say that you sitting here, I mean, it's a privilege for us to have you here and to be here in Grassy Park, but I've just had confirmation that we've had around about 900 people that tuned in listening to this on the online platform, and I think that's magnificent. I think really these SIYABONGA Days is something that we can take forward. I just want to invite Belinda Abrams. She's the manager of education at the SPCA. So she and Tembi works with the farmers in this region, and they are doing brilliant work here, Minister. And I think, you know, I've known Tembi for quite a while now. And since we've done the information days at Sandringham 7 years ago, and by the way, 7 years ago, we started this relationship with the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, saying that we want to give basic information. So basic information, Leon Creer spoke about basic information, Donald spoke about basic information, but then we also have inspiring stories from Chris and his team, and also from Renshia. So Belinda, thank you for what you are doing. I know that you want to say something, and I would like to invite you to the stage here.
Always a problem for me. There we go. Yeah, I'm also going to remove my mask if that's okay. And I just want to say good afternoon to Minister Dr. Ivan Meyer, the organisers and the sponsors of the Agri-Expo, the speakers, and of course the farmers and everybody who's tuned in from wherever they are. And I think it's so fitting that this day has been called SIYABONGA Day, because we just have so much to be thankful for. And, you know, years ago, Tembi Nunkalo, who heads up our Compassion in Farming project, he had a dream, and he had a dream to uplift the welfare of farm animals and supporting emerging farmers in a way that education would not only lead to a kinder world for animals, but that it would also economically empower the people. The dream was realized when we were funded by an international funder, WTG. And today I think we celebrate the joining of hands and hearts from so many people who have just come together to make a wonderful day of learning possible. Learning that aligns with our vision, and our vision is to prevent cruelty and to promote the welfare of all animals, and our mission, which is to end animal cruelty in South Africa and to engender compassion for all animals. To the Minister, Dr. Ivan Meyer, the Western Cape and the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, we say SIYABONGA. To Breyton Milford, the organisers and the sponsors of the Agri-Expo, we say SIYABONGA. To the speakers who shared so much of themselves today, Donald Mouton, Leon Kruger, Chris Hartzenberg, Renshia Manuel, Jerry Aries, we say SIYABONGA. To WTG, who fund our Compassion in Farming project, we say SIYABONGA. But especially to our farmers, we say SIYABONGA. For coming here today to learn, we say SIYABONGA. For treating our animals with kindness, we say SIYABONGA. For welcoming Tembi, who heads up our project, onto your farms and into your homes, and for working with him to promote the welfare of your animals, we say SIYABONGA, SIYABONGA, SIYABONGA. May your dreams come true, and may you go from strength to strength. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Belinda. I want to end off to say SIYABONGA to everyone. You will see that there's a box of seedlings on your table. And that's a gift from Renshia and the Agri-Expo team, and also from the Western Cape Department of Agriculture. I see you have some letters there, Dr. Ivan Meyer. So they still have a few weeks to go. If you don't know what you have, please come and ask Renshia. I see Jerry has some tomatoes there. Thank you very much. Also, a lucky online registrant will win this salad box that's here. So anyone who has registered online, you will go into a lucky draw, and you can win this salad box, proudly made and created by Growbox. And then I want to say, next week we're having our third SIYABONGA Day in Clanwilliam, the 16th of October. I also think it's World Food Day, Jerry. Yes, so the 16th of October is also World Food Day. And our third SIYABONGA Day will be at Clanwilliam, 10 o'clock. So to everyone who is online at this moment, please tune in, register. And yeah, we look forward to our third SIYABONGA Day. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will enjoy the lunch. Bye, dankie.